everybody. What's going on? What are you smiling at?
No, I was just laughing at that holiday shit you had played.
I said I got to make one for the sidetrack show too, because the sidetrack show is going to be even closer.
Now it made me want to get some eggnog.
Well, see, I thought you were going to get eggnog.
I got to drink this first.
I mean, I thought that was the whole point of you going out and getting it.
I might go down there and get some.
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm going to drink it. I just don't know if I'm going to drink it on the show.
Well, okay.
You know what I mean? I would definitely drink eggnog.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I don't know. I'm not really into it,
I know. I don't understand it. Well, it's like drinking melted ice cream.
Yeah.
It's fucking real fattening.
It's like I don't mind it like in a little thing, but it's like I can't drink a whole big glass of it. It's kind of sickly. You know what I mean?
Well, I put a lot of ice in it. Let the ice melt and water it down, so it waters down.
Yeah, I guess.
I don't drink it. It's thick. It's thick.
Yeah, I know.
It's a little too thick, if you ask me. I like it to kind of thin down a little bit.
I think it kind of weirds me out. Like I like milkshakes. I'm not saying that, but I don't know. There's something I'm not kind of.
I bet if you put ice in there, and then hit it with the immersion blender and turn it into a smoothie, it's probably really good.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know why because you would think that I would like that, but because I like milkshakes and I like frappuccinos and shit like that, and I like ice cream.
Yeah.
But for some reason, it's not that I don't like it. It's just, I don't know. There's something kind of sickly about it, like I said.
It's thick.
Yeah.
A lot of people have a hard time getting over that. It's just real thick and sweet, rich.
Yeah. Maybe if I drank it through a straw.
Yeah.
I know that's weird.
Like I say, if it's iced and the ice melts and it slightly waters down, a lot of people like it better like that. I like it like that with a little slightly watered down.
Yeah, I guess.
See what they're talking about.
And I'm kind of one of those people that likes milk with ice in it too.
Yeah.
Well, I like everything has to have ice in it because I'm in Florida, man, and I'm not. I don't play that like we're drinking some fucking room temperature shit. Yeah. No thanks.
Yeah. Yesterday was funny because we had an account jump in the comment section named Jen Draven, and we started talking about her like it's our friend Jen.
Because that's her.
I went and talked to her and said, thanks for stopping in. She said, I didn't show up there. That wasn't our Jen Draven. I don't know who that was. But
it's a mystery. I know we were talking to her last night, like on Messenger, and she's like, that wasn't me.
Yeah. She goes, tell me when you start streaming, I'll jump in and say hi. So she might jump in.
Okay. We'll see. But now I'm like wondering who the fuck that was.
Yeah, they were like, who the fuck is using my name? But anybody can do anything. I think you can change your name in the chats. In the chat.
But the fact that somebody would come on here and like use that name specifically means it's probably somebody that knows us.
Yeah.
Or knows her.
Yeah.
So
or just
I mean, unless it was like a really, really bizarre coincidence, but I kind of doubt it.
Yeah, weird shit.
That is very weird.
We only said one thing, and that was it.
Yeah. Well, it's like I didn't really think anything of it because, like I said, Dimitri shows up sometimes.
Yeah.
And that's, So,
yeah, and what she said sounded like something Jen would say.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah. So I was just kind of like, I don't know. It was just very bizarre. It was very bizarre when we found out that wasn't her. Because then I was like, ooh. Now I'm like intrigued. I'm wondering if that's like some stalker or something.
Yeah. Yeah, she just jumped in and said I was getting jacked. And Jen says that all the time when she sees me. You're getting big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why we didn't.
Yeah.
And it's not like they came on and because that's like all she said.
Yeah.
So it's not like they just came on and were like fucking with us or something like that. So
it's funny.
That's why I didn't really have any cause to doubt that it was actually her, but she said that it wasn't.
Yeah.
Gramther said you were suspicious of old Gramther too once.
Yeah. Well, you didn't tell me who you were, man.
Yeah, that's that's the thing. That's the thing.
Yeah, you didn't tell me who you were.
We're not really sure.
Yeah, we can't see. We can't see y'all.
Yeah. We can't see y'all. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Tammy said you should tell her to say something in the chat that only the three of you would know.
No, she has her own account, so when she comes into the chat, it would lead back to her account.
Yeah.
She has her own Facebook, or not Facebook. Excuse me. She has her own YouTube account.
And it's not under that name.
It is under Jen Draven, but it has next to her face is an icon with her picture.
Oh, okay.
And if you when you press that in the thing, you can go back and see that person's homepage.
Oh,
so it would lead back to hers.
Okay. Well, I can't do it from here. Like I can't click on
the one
shit
that was
from
talking. There was no photograph. It was just a purple disc with a J in it, like a generic one.
Right. Yeah.
I didn't check it though. I just
I didn't either
wasn't
because like I said, it's not like they came on and were like spewing abuse at us or something like that. It was just something that she probably normally would have said. So it's not really that weird. John Smith said he's making mulled wine over Christmas.
Yeah.
Christmas Day is the only day you can have chocolate cake for breakfast and be drunk by 10 o'clock, and it's not a grave cause for concern.
I got Christmas dinner already half done because guess what I did?
What'd you do?
I saved all the damn stuffing, the dressing from Thanksgiving and froze it.
Yeah, you froze it.
We didn't even scratch the surface.
Well, I mean, you made a lot of stuffing.
Much. Yeah.
And I love stuffing and everything, but even I can't eat that much.
I put it in a Ziploc bag and froze it, and I said, "We're having this for Christmas."
Okay.
So I'm gonna cook that turkey without any stuffing in it. I'm just gonna keep basting it, and then we're gonna eat that stuffing.
Okay.
I'll make cranberry sauce though.
Okay.
I'll make that. I got cranberries.
Are you gonna make real potatoes or just instant ones?
I can make real ones. I think. Yeah.
Because we had instant ones for Thanksgiving, and that's like a little bit of a bump.
I don't think I have any real potatoes in there. I have to check.
Oh well.
I have sweet potatoes, real sweet potatoes.
Yeah. All right.
Although I probably want to make something like sweet potato pie with that.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. You can do other stuff with that. You can do other stuff with that.
Made pumpkin pie.
Yeah, that pumpkin pie. That pumpkin pie you made is good.
I'll make another one.
Okay.
And then, damn. If I wasn't on so much gear, I'd be getting fat.
Well, it's the holidays, Everybody's entitled to get a little fat over the holidays. It's kind of like that's just kind of what you do,
Yeah. So today, this show here, man, is gonna be a fucking real inspiring show. Okay? It's gonna fucking put y'all in a good mood. This is fucking Halloween tragedies, all the fucking
Christmas tragedies.
Christmas tragedies. This Halloween and Christmas, same shit for us anyway. It's just gothic Christmas. Halloween is gothic Christmas, but this one's gonna be real upbeat.
Well, I kind of feel like it always happens, other than maybe our first Christmas special many years ago when we did kind of a fun one that was like Christmas creatures or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, other than that, I'm always just kind of like, well, upbeat Christmas shit's kind of like boring, so...
Yeah.
It's always more fun to do. I don't know. I don't know if it's more fun necessarily, but like I said, it might in some ways it makes me feel better because I'm like, well, at least my Christmas isn't as shitty as these people's. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's one way to look at it.
What was I going to say about this? Oh shit! Last night we were watching Unsolved Mysteries. They had two. We watched two of them. They were good.
Yeah, it looks like they put a new season up on Netflix because I didn't. I mean,
we didn't
unless
get a notification
I missed it because I don't remember those ones.
Yeah, I don't remember, but I know I didn't see the UFO one. They have a new UFO one that's real good that happened like in the '90s, and it's called Something in the Sky, and it's got some radar operators and some people that saw some cops that saw something. It's kind of reminded me of that old Illinois triangle, UFO triangle over Illinois incident. It's one of my favorite ones. The cops even got a picture of it with the Polaroid camera, and I think 2 or 3 different police departments over 2 states saw this damn triangle flying low. This one's just lights disconnected and breaking apart. They didn't actually. One person said that she saw it. It was just silvery craft. She said cylindrical. They showed a disc, but she said cylindrical. They're always funny how those programs do that. You know what I mean? The witness says one thing, but then what they show you is totally different. I don't really like that.
Well, it's like either she didn't know what a cylinder was, or the person doing the 3D art didn't know what a cylinder was.
Yeah, maybe she didn't know what a cylinder was. Maybe she meant disc. Yeah. But that's a good UFO one. Jenny hates UFO stuff. She falls asleep during it.
I don't hate it. It's just a lot of it's kind of samey.
Still, I like it.
Well, and I fell asleep because I was tired.
Yeah.
Now, the first one that we watched, which was like a real bummer, but I was like riveted through that one. That was the one about the girl that was in 94, 95, something like that. That girl that got hit by the train.
Yeah.
And for a long time, they said that it was like suicide, but they were like, yeah, no fucking way. That she probably got murdered and like laid on the track.
Yeah.
But they didn't like investigate
They found her
it.
stuff in another location. Somebody killed her.
Yeah.
Put her on a track.
Yeah, that was fucked up.
Yeah.
That was fucked up. But there's some good shit. There's some good shit on there. We'll have to watch the rest of that like later.
Yeah, I
on.
think it was the new Unsolved Mysteries. I think it was season 3.
Yeah, it's season 3.
Yeah, and it's season 3, episode 2 was Something in the Sky.
I think it's just called Lights in the Sky, or
no, there's Something in the Sky. I think it was called
Something in the
Something
Sky.
in the
Okay.
Sky. I think is what the name of it.
That's real specific.
Yeah, hey man, something in the sky. Hey man, it's
a bird. It's a plane.
There was some weird shit, and the radar was backing it up. The radar operator was seeing a thing over Lake Michigan, hiding out in the place where the lake wasn't frozen, and he watched it out there for hours. And it said it would just be there to break apart into 4 or 5 of them, and then it'd come back and it'd swarm. Said they were doing patterns in the sky, and there was a witness on the ground at that same time that said that she said she saw it. And it was about 6,000 feet off the ground, pulling water up out of the lake in like a reverse waterfall, pulling it up into.
Okay, I dozed off where that part happened.
And it was doing that for about an hour, just pulling this mysterious and it was kind of wavering like it was in a tractor beam, and it was pulling it up into the craft. And the craft, what she didn't describe as being very big, so I don't know what it was doing. It couldn't have been pulling that much water, but you could see it. And she didn't say anything was coming back down. Maybe they're bigger on the inside than they are on the outside.
Like a TARDIS.
Like a TARDIS. Mm-hmm. They're pulling water in there. You needed water. Fresh water, I guess.
So we're just going to steal some of yours.
Yeah. Not salt water. So.
John Smith said, well, that guy that incinerated his in-laws with a homemade flamethrower while dressed as Santa was pretty tragic, too.
I didn't see that one.
Wait, was that a real story? Because I feel like we talked about... Because we did, I think it was last year or the year before, we did horrible murders that happened on Christmas. And so this year I was doing tragedies. Although I will say that there is one in here that was murders that I somehow missed, like on that show. So we're going to talk about that. Gramther says, Gramther's present to his wife is getting a vasectomy so she doesn't have to be on birth control anymore. How's that for a Christmas gift? That's actually, I mean, you laugh, but I mean, that seems like that's a very thoughtful gift, actually. That's very, very nice of you. And then John Smith said, nothing is more tragic at Christmas than Phoebe Cates' story about her father in Gremlins. Yeah, that's a real bummer. And you know what's like a bummer about that, too, is that that's happened to people in real life. Not dressed as Santa, I don't think, but didn't that happen to that kid where he got stuck in the chimney? Like trying to break into the house or some shit like that.
Yeah, he died in there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, remember in Gremlins, she tells the story about her dad coming down the chimney dressed like Santa Claus and getting stuck in there and dying.
Yeah. Yeah, he was kind of trying to break into that house. He went down the chimney, feet first. Got stuck, couldn't get in there. And he was missing for a couple of years. Nobody lived in that house. It was owned, but nobody lived in it. Somebody tried to use that fireplace eventually, and smoke wouldn't go up. There was an old rotten dude up there. They found him mummified up in the fucking.
Yeah, he's probably like human jerky up there. Grody.
Yep.
I mean, I'm sure it's happened more than once. Don't try to break into a house by going down the chimney, kids.
All he had to do is bust a window. Unlock the door.
I mean, I don't know, like, why the fuck would you...
I guess he wanted to go in and out of there without doing any damage to it so he could just have access to the house, because he probably figured nobody lived there. It was abandoned.
Yeah, I guess. But it seems like there'd be much easier ways to accomplish that.
He was a teenager. They're dumb.
That's true.
Yeah.
He probably thought he was being clever as shit, though.
Yeah, I'll just go down a damn chimney.
No one will even see me.
Yeah, chimney sweeps do it.
He's probably sliding down singing the song from fucking Mary Poppins.
Yeah.
Chimney, chim.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, shit.
And for some reason, I guess it got
That'd be
too
horrible.
tight. It got too tight, and he couldn't crawl up. Man, imagine he fucking screamed in there and yelled for help for a long time.
God. Can you imagine? Jesus fucking Christ.
It'd take you about 7 days to die of thirst.
Yeah, it would take a while.
Yeah, you'd die in a way that's kind of like some shit out of damn fucking Stephen King novel. You'd go crazy in there, but nothing you could do.
Yeah, that would
Don't
suck.
crawl down in any small object. Don't crawl into any tight areas. I got claustrophobia like that. I cannot stand any kind of tight area. I got a fucking paranoia about it because you can't move. See, I don't understand how those people can go down to those fucking caves and crawl in between those cracks. They're fucking crazy.
Yeah. See, I don't mind going down in a cave if it's a nice big cave. Yeah. Then it's like
go down
pretty cool.
A fucking crack.
But you sort of crawl in these little cracks and holes, like in the descent. No, thank you.
Yeah, and they don't know where it's going. Let's see where this goes. It's getting tighter. Let's keep going.
I was like, it goes to another cave. Spoiler alert. It's probably looks just the same as the cave that you came from.
Yeah.
So.
I gotta say, we're gonna go throw them other crazy motherfuckers into the same fucking batch and let those people that climb up the sides of those sheer cliff faces. Yeah. And then they want to call for help when they get in trouble. Like they ought to just make a rule. If you climb up that shit, okay, you're on your own.
I mean, without any safety equipment or harnesses.
Well,
or
they have it,
sometimes,
but still, they're fucking just hanging by the fucking very edges and. You're crazy.
Well, it is kind of a bummer that like people like with families and kids and that's their job, like that they have to go out and rescue people. Right. And like it's not like you have to be up there doing that. You're just doing it for like thrills and stuff. Mm-hmm. I'm like maybe more of the thrill would be that if you fuck up, no one's gonna come help you.
Right? Yeah.
I thought that was like part of the whole extreme sports kind of thing. For you.
I'm not saying don't do it. If that's your thing, go ahead and do it. But nobody should help you.
I mean, and it's like, it's different if, if somebody's just like hiking and they get lost or something like that. Yeah. That's, I don't have a problem with people getting rescued then. But if you're doing like some of that extreme shit, like you said, I don't think that
those dudes will fucking drive a damn stake into a spike into the fucking wall of that cave and hang a hammock through there and sleep in between, between climbing. I mean, that's a lot of skill. I'm going to say that, I respect it. You got fucking balls. But if you get in trouble, that's on you're on your own. Yeah. I'm not going up there to get you. I wouldn't expect anybody else to go up and get you.
I mean, I would think that if I was the kind of person that did that kind of stuff for kicks, which I'm not,
shouldn't be asking for help.
Then I would be like, well, I'm probably going to be on my own. Like if the shit happens, I wouldn't expect somebody to like risk their ass like to come help me.
Yeah. Same thing going down into the caves. Now, maybe other rock climbers are into that shit. Well, you got some other crazy. Well, let's go get him.
Yeah, well, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. Yeah, I'm not saying just like don't go rescue them out of spite. I'm not saying that.
Right. You better be some kind of rock climber. You're into that.
Yeah, like you want to go.
You pop a boner on thinking about I'm gonna climb up this rock and save this other stupid motherfucker stuck on the side of a damn rock. If that's your thing, then go ahead and do it. But shit, you're gonna die too.
John Smith said there are some mad fools that will climb frozen waterfalls.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just, to me, it seems like, look, I understand, like, the whole adrenaline rush thing and everything like that. But just doing stuff like that just seems like, why? Like, why?
Well, they had that one dude who was getting on top of the buildings and taking selfies of himself hanging off the side. He'd get into these weird cracks. He'd go on the end of a damn pole and stand there. He could tightrope and walk. And he fell.
Yeah, well,
eventually
that's going to happen.
Wind came and got him. He forgot about wind.
Yeah.
Stupid fucker.
Yeah, it's like, I don't really feel bad.
Yeah, wind. Remember?
I don't really feel bad.
Yeah. You're on the 96th floor, dude. Wind. Oh. Bye-bye.
Yeah. To be honest, I don't even like thinking about being on top of a tall building. I don't even like watching a movie of people being on top of a tall building, even if it's fake.
Yeah.
It stresses me the fuck out. The one time I went to New York City and I went up to the top of the Empire State Building just because it's New York City and you kind of have to. It's the law. But but I wanted to say that I'd been up there. And the whole time I was freaking out. I was just kind of, I wanted to go up there, but it's like when I got to the top, I was like inching toward the thing. And then it's like, they're like, look over the thing. And I was like, oh, I don't like it. I was like, I want to go back down to the ground. And it's like, you can feel it like blowing around kind of. And I was just like, ugh. And then I was like looking at other people like sticking their heads out. And I'm just like, I really have to get the fuck out of here. It like stressed me out so badly.
I'm a veteran of the 101st Airborne Division. Went to Arezo school, which really wasn't shit. and fucking did a bunch of air assault operations in the fucking 506 when they were up in Korea, right off of DMZ, Camp Greaves. And we got more flight time than dudes from the 101st, even though 506 came from the 101st originally. We were kind of like on loan. I love flying doors open and fucking helicopters. All right. UH-1 Hueys, UH-60 Blackhawks for fucking going probably like 120 knots, doors open, fucking banking at an angle. I'd be on the fucking I was during that whole time I was a 60 gunner, so I always got the very last seat on either on the right or the left side of the fuselage towards the back, and the front of that damn fuselage is tapered, so if you look straight ahead you're actually looking forward because the fuselage gets so your feet could kind of hang out over the side. Used to love it. The chopper would bank, you'd be all strapped in, you'd look down and try to spit because we were fucking dipping. Spit out and they get caught in a prop wash and hit everybody and everybody laughed and shit, you know. Just
That's
funny
gross.
shit. Yeah, it's just the way it was.
Dudes are disgusting.
But but still, beside all that, the hardest thing I fucking ever did personally was fucking climb up top this fucking ladder. The very last, at the air assault school, the very last rung you had to jump up, and it's because you have perspective.
John Smith just said that. He said, I don't have any fear of heights, so it's fine for me. I'd be more unnerved being at the top of a ladder because I can conceive of a broken ankle.
Exactly.
Well, I don't know. I conceive falling off a fucking 100-story building, too.
Yeah.
I can conceive that really well. Maybe my imagination gets me in trouble.
Real high buildings looking over the edge, it's worse for me. The whole vertigo, because you have perspective that you can fall.
Yeah.
But no problem at all jumping out of a helicopter on a fucking, 200-foot line. The chopper repels, no problem. Easy. And I guess because the perspective isn't the same. There isn't a wall that goes straight down.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is.
And you're moving, and you know you're flying. I think it has a lot to do with it. You're not on something that's
you're not
solid.
just like standing there solid and then
you're not on something, you're flying.
Because that's like a very, very unnerving feeling where you're standing on top of a building and
it's not moving. And it's your anchor to safety. Well, your anchor to safety, you're already flying. You're not really anchored to anything. So
yeah, maybe that's what it is.
And you don't have a good perspective. Just things look small and far away. And you don't really have a sense of up and down because everything's kind of doing this. You know what I mean? Fucking, you're flying around. You feel like you're in control of it.
Yeah.
You know? So maybe they have that feeling of being in control as they're walking across a tightrope between two buildings. You know.
Well, you'd have to, otherwise you wouldn't be able to do it.
Right. Yeah.
Zach says, I think the most uncomfortable thing I ever saw was that elder French dude who broke world records by balancing in chairs off the edge of cliffs, skyscrapers, etc. Is that the same guy that they made the documentary Man on Wire about? Because I saw that like at a little indie theater, and he was French, and he just like would walk. Well, he did it like illegally. He would take like he'd sneak in. I think he did it between the World Trade Centers too. Like he'd sneak in while it was under construction and throw like a wire between the two buildings, and then he'd walk. Like, he didn't get permits or nothing like that. He never fell, though. I mean, he was, like, but that was a great documentary, but, man, I was, like, fucking so stressed out watching that. Even though I knew that he didn't fall. Like, I knew he was still alive. Like, when I saw the documentary, I was still, like, thinking that he was going to fall the whole time. Zach also said, isn't it normal to have that call of the void experience, like you're on top of a tall building and you feel the impulse to jump for a second or something similar? Yeah, I've heard that a lot of people have that. I've had that. I kind of feel like most people have.
Well, I don't really sense it that way. I have the sensation that the floor is slightly sloped and I'm slightly being pulled or sliding. I feel like I'm kind of sliding towards the edge. I'm not, though, but I kind of have that feeling like I'm being pulled towards the edge.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I've had that too.
It's like it's some kind of vertigo.
Yeah, I almost kind of feel like, you almost kind of feel like unmoored for a second, like I'm gonna lose my balance, even if I'm just standing there. Like I said, when I was on top of the Empire State Building, like obviously, like you can't really fall off unless you try really hard, because there's the walls like this, and then there's rungs up there like that, so you'd have to like climb up and over, but like. Even then, like, I still felt like I could just go whoa and just like fall off the edge, even though there's no way that I could.
Yeah, but just like he said, being at the top of that huge long ladder made out of damn telephone poles and aerosol school was scarier than actually looking out of that fucking open doors or or jumping out on a line, 200 foot line, not a problem. If I was in that chopper and had a chute on, and we were banking, and somebody pushed me and said, jump, I'd have no problem jumping. I wouldn't even hesitate. Go, yeah, and just jump out. Because it doesn't seem like you're high off the ground. You know?
Yeah.
There's no perspective. You just see little trees and little things, you know? It doesn't really matter.
Look at those little bitty trees.
They just look far away. You don't feel like you're high off the ground. Just the ground just looks far away.
Yeah.
To me, you know?
I guess.
Well, you've never flown, have you? Or have you flown? You just don't like flying.
I just don't like flying. I've flown lots of times.
Yeah, that's right.
Never in a helicopter.
Yeah.
But I've flown in like regular planes and like little planes.
Helicopter's totally different. It's a lot like being in a motorcycle.
Well, I don't really like being on the back of a motorcycle either.
Doors are open, wind's blowing through it, a lot of sound. Everybody's in there.
I mean, I get some people really like it, but like I said, to me it just seems like courting disaster when there's really no reason to. You know what I mean? Like, especially people that just jump out of planes just cause, like for thrills. Or,
yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
You know. Well, I say people can do it, but it's like I don't want.
It would be harder to do base jumping for me, to just run and jump off the edge of a cliff, even if I had a chute on. I'd have a hard time doing that. But jumping out of a plane, wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like either idea, to be honest. Camp Guy said, that dude that free climbs in Yosemite is freaky. I can't even watch that shit on video.
Yeah. I don't like any of them dudes.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I can't watch that. Even if you know that they're not going to fall, because it's like, you know, obviously they made the video and somebody uploaded it. So, like, if you know that they're still alive. But like I said, even that documentary about that French guy, even though I knew he was alive when I watched the documentary, I still like had a hard time watching it.
I guess they just lean into it, you know? They just fucking like it. And I guess you have to like it. But I just don't like the way that looks, man. I get a weird weird vertigo feeling seeing that.
I mean, shit, man. Yeah. I get vertigo kind of and dizzy like that just walking up and down the fucking stairs, like much less. No, I do. I'm serious. Okay. Like I had problems like when I was a teenager. I had problems with my inner ear.
Okay.
So a lot of times my balance isn't all that good. So I'm always kind of like worried that, you know, that I'm gonna trip and fall or something like that because I always feel like a little bit woo. You know what I mean? Like I always feel like a little bit wobbly. So that's probably another reason that I don't like standing on top of really tall things. I don't even like climbing ladders. I don't even like if I have to climb up on the counter, like to change a light bulb or something like that, that fucking stresses me out, even though that's only like a couple feet off the ground. I don't like that either. Because I get dizzy.
Yeah.
I can't help it. Like, you know, my inner ear's fucked up. I get dizzy, so it like makes me really... So I'm always afraid I'm gonna like fall and buzz my head open. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Camp Guy said, I saw one where a dude was hanging around asking questions at a skydiving school. The owner let him go up to watch a jump, and this guy jumped out with all the parachute dudes. It was a suicide.
Oh, really? Wow, okay.
Holy shit. Can you fucking imagine? It freaked out the pilot or the owner guy. Yeah, I'm sure.
Oh, and he didn't have a chute on. He just
jumped out.
Oh, man.
Like, I guess it was suicide, or he was just stupid. Like, I bet it, like, he got all caught up in it.
Got caught up in a moment.
And then he was like, oh, shit.
Let's go.
Tom Sykes said, I'm sure somewhere out in the world there's a Christmas holiday tragedy of some poor lad or lass deep-throating a candy cane and choking to death.
Yeah.
I imagine that choking on candy canes is probably pretty common. I mean, I don't know, it's, like, not common, but I imagine it's probably happens quite a bit, like, around this time of year. They get sharp, you know?
No telling.
And, like, they break up and, like, you know, they get broken. And you could fucking... Camp Guy said the news lady asked him if he had surprised him when the guy jumped out. Well, fuck yeah, it surprised me. Yeah. What do you think? What a dumb fucking question. All right, so I guess we have a couple of shout-outs. Now, a couple of these we did, like, on the movie shows, but like I said, I always like to do them on the main show. So I wanted to give a shout out to our newest patron, whose name is 7 Lines. So thank you very much for joining our little family over on Patreon. And we do have a Patreon, by the way, if you want to go over there and get in on that.
Yeah, we're always looking for new patrons, man. Patronage has been fucking us up, man. We lost a bunch of them over the past couple years. Trying to get some patrons back.
We are, yeah. And basically, I mean, you get to vote on, like, sometimes what movies we talk about or what topics that we're going to do on the show. And sometimes I put up, like, early access. I haven't been doing that in the last couple weeks because I got real behind. Yeah, sometimes we send out shirts. Yeah. Stuff like that.
Which it's probably due to send shirts out again.
Probably
we've been blowing shirts off. Money and everything that's been happening.
Well, yeah, like I said, it's around the holidays, and the last couple months I've just been, like, broke as shit, so it's like I don't really...
Funny thing is anytime shirts come around, we send out emails to everybody and messages asking, what design, what size you want, and only like 130 y'all even ever respond. So y'all don't get a shirt. If you don't respond,
well, I'm sure like everybody here does.
Yeah,
respond. But there are some people on our Patreon that
some people they don't ever respond to the message, so they don't ever get the shirt.
Which
Yeah, it's well. Well, I mean, they still really care about shirts. They're just trying to chip in, I guess.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. It's like, because like I said, I'm on a couple people's Patreon. Like I give a little bit, but you know, a lot of times I don't really take advantage of all this extra shit they give you because I just don't have time to.
You have time to take advantage of it.
I just don't. Yeah, like I said, I give Dan Bell like $1 or $2, but. And he has all those like podcasts on there that are Patreon only, and I was like, oh, that sounds fun, and I should do that one day, but I just never have time to listen to them, so you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. Mike says, Jenny, you look like when you do Giallo reviews. Yeah. I decided to do my red hair because it was like Christmassy. Yeah. I guess. I forgot I have a green wig too. Yeah. I don't have a Santa hat though.
Jen's been looking good lately, man. It's almost time for another photo shoot on Jen. We're gonna do an OnlyFans photo shoot.
You keep saying
I'm gonna get you dolled up, man. It's gonna be sexy.
Yeah, okay, whatever.
They're gonna sell that shit.
Yeah, okay.
Boots and everything. Lots of leg. Cleavage.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. You can look like a porn star.
Mm-hmm.
See, look at her. She's like, yeah. We already did a photo shoot like that. It was a big hit. It's been a long time.
Well, yeah, that was a long time ago.
We gotta do one for like your 50th.
Well, too late now. I already turned 50.
Yeah. Well, we'll just say we did it then when you're 50. We'll say 51.
Save it for 51.
Yeah.
Mike says, sorry, Jenny, I'm drunk. Well, no, that's okay. You're all right. You're all right. We'll probably be drunk by the time this is...
Yeah.
I mean, what I did on this show was I kind of picked out, like, 3 sort of big ones that I wanted to talk about, and then there's like a couple like other little ones if we have time to like get into that, because somebody mentioned the Indian Ocean tsunami and I said I might bring that up toward the end, but I kind of feel like more people know about that one because it happened like more recently. Mm-hmm. So I kind of picked out some older stuff that I didn't know that much about that happened on Christmas. And like I said, we did do last year, the year before, I think we did like horrible murders that happened on Christmas. We did like the Lawson family and stuff like that. So I didn't want to repeat any of that stuff, but I did find some stuff that we hadn't talked about previously. So hopefully that'll be exciting for us. And like I said, it's a Christmas special, so I'm sure we'll probably go off topic as usual. You know what I mean? But that's why I put in the title like Christmas tragedies and more. I should probably start doing that on every fucking topic. Because we always end up talking about all the other shit. Oh, well.
That's the point of the show.
Is it? Kinda. Well, you know.
Kind of.
I don't know.
I guess it depends on who you ask.
Yeah. Some people like it, some people don't. It's like, I know you can't make everybody happy.
Yeah.
I do like the live streams. I like the spontaneity of it.
Yeah.
But I think, like I said, the sidetrack shows are like actually a lot more fun for me because I'm not stressing out about, we need to get back to the topic, or we need to get back to the topic, you know what I mean? Because we can just like talk about anything. John Smith said, on a Christmas theme, anyone seen the slasher Don't Open Till Christmas, in which a mass killer is murdering men dressed as Santa Claus? Did that just come out? Because I was looking earlier today. Oh, here's another thing. So I've been trying to put up some more like Christmas horror movie reviews this week. So I watched one, and I wrote the script for it, and I was gonna do like a video and put it up today. So I got the whole thing, like the whole review written, and I saved it and everything like that. And then my computer crashed. And when I restarted it, the entire thing was gone. Like the file was still there, but all of it was gone and I couldn't get it back. Like I went and like I went to like the temporary files and I tried to like restore and all this other kind of stuff and it was just gone. Like the file was still there, like I had saved it, but all of the text was gone. Weird. And I was just kind of like, oh my God. I was like,
wonder why.
I just wanted to fucking scream, to be honest with you. I was like, oh my God, I spent all that time like doing that. So now I have to do it again tomorrow. So I didn't put up a review today, and even though I meant to, because that happened. So, you know, I wasn't in the best frame of mind this afternoon. I'm just going to say it, because all that fucking work, and it was fucking gone. Zach says, I like the sidetrack shows because it's just an unending stream of consciousness. Yeah. Don't Open Till Christmas is from the 80s. Maybe we did review it. I feel like we did a shit ton of Christmas horror movies last year or the year before.
I don't remember.
And maybe that was one of them. I want to see, has anybody seen the new one that's on Shudder? What the fuck is it called? I might get around to watching that one. But the one I watched yesterday that I did the review for was called Red Snow. But, from 2021. And it was pretty good. But now I have to, like, fucking redo the whole review because I fucking lost it. Hugo said you guys should watch Violent Night. Tom is gonna like it. Yeah, I've been wanting to see that actually. It's still at the theater. It's probably not streaming yet. Yeah, 1984. The killer tracks down and kills Salvation Army Grotto and Mall Santas. See, that sounds familiar. Maybe we did review that. Now I have to look back and see because we've done so many Christmas horror movies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right. So, where was I? Oh, okay. So thanking our new patron, 7 Line. So thank you very much. Again, somebody sent Pookie a big box of tuna Sheba meat sticks.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Was it today or yesterday?
No, yesterday.
Okay.
Yesterday.
Yeah,
remember?
I know,
or yesterday or the day before.
Yeah. I thought you were talking about another one.
No. And I don't know, and I don't remember who it was because they didn't put their name on it. But if it was you, then... Because I remember somebody asking about it, but I don't remember, like, who it was that asked about it. So I don't know who it was that sent it, but whoever it was sent it, like, thank you very much. Pookie loves those. Like I said, they're her very, very favorite. Tom Sykes said Violent Night is free on the 123 Movies site. Oh, okay. Yeah, I've been wanting to see that, actually, because that's the one with David Harbour, right, who that was in Stranger Things, and I like him. He'd make a good, like, Santa, so you know what I mean. But we'll see that one as well. There's a new one on Shudder, too, but I can't remember what the name of it is. But it looks good, and it got, like, good reviews and stuff, so I might get around to watching that one, too. But like I said, we'll see. I wanted to do Inside as well from 2007, because that's not a Christmas movie, but I think it takes place on Christmas. Oh, Tom says all new movies are free on that site. Okay, it's probably one of those. But yeah, and the only other thing, like I said, we already plugged the Patreon. I also wanted to tell everybody, if you haven't already, please go over and subscribe to my other 2 channels, one of which is called The Scare Salon, and that's all horror stuff, and the other one is called Crime Immemorial, and that's all true crime stuff. So I'm trying to get 1,000 subscribers on each of those so I can monetize them. But, you know, we're getting there, but it's very, very slow. Oscar says American Psycho is technically a Christmas movie. That's true. And you know what? I was thinking the other day that I don't think we've done a video on American Psycho either.
I don't think so, no.
I don't think we have. I think we put I put it in the poll a couple times, but it just never wins because there's always another one that's in there. Mike says, did I miss your review of Dark Glasses? Yeah, I did do a review of Dark Glasses probably a month or so ago. Something like that. It was over in I think I did it on I can't remember if I did it on Scare Salon or I might have done it on the Flickers of Fear thing, but I definitely did review it. Didn't love it, but, you know, it was all right. It was all right.
You're in there talking about Christmas movies, man. It's almost time to see Die Hard again.
Yeah, I gotta pick out. Like I said, I've been wanting to watch some like new Christmas movies. I watched Red Snow. So I gotta put up a review of that one, and I want to watch that new one that's on Shudder. And if I can find Violent Night somewhere, maybe we'll watch that one too. That'd be cool. That's like saying 1 Hour Photo is a Christmas film. I mean, technically. But yeah, so are we ready to get into like some Christmas bummers?
I've been ready.
You been ready?
I've been ready. Just waiting on you.
Oh, you just over
been
there
waiting on you.
being cranky and
Not being cranky.
And moving around.
Me moving around is being cranky. Ain't that some shit?
Moving around.
Yeah, me moving around. Okay. Okay, I got it.
Richard Brown said The Children. I reviewed that one for sure. Like, if that's the British one, right, from 2007, 2008, something like that, that's a great movie. I like that one a lot. I've seen that one a couple times. I think I reviewed it last year, like last Christmas, around there somewhere. All right. So the first thing that I want to talk about is I can't believe when we did the Christmas show about horrible Christmas murders last year, whenever it was, I somehow didn't hear about this one. Maybe because it's like older. This is like actually 19th century. But this is pretty fucked up. Oscar says Tomes of Terror is the best channel. Somebody asked, I don't remember if it was you, but somebody asked if I was going to keep doing those because I hadn't put up a book review like probably in like a week and a half, because usually I put them up once a week, but I got like really behind on my reading. Like I'm in the middle of a book right now and I haven't had time to finish it and like do a review of it yet, but hopefully I get at least one like book review put up before the end of this, before Christmas, god damn it, because I have like a book of Christmas horror stories that I wanted to read also, but I want to finish the one that I was in the middle of also, which is kind of not a Christmas book, but whatever. It just took me so long to read it that I didn't really plan for it to go up around Christmas time because it's not a Christmas book, but whatever. But yeah, so this is a multiple murder that happened around Christmas that I somehow didn't hear about before today. Even though it seems a fairly well-known. I don't know how well-known it is. Thank you very much, Gramthers. May your Christmas be frightful and bleak.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, it already is. Just kidding. Thanks for another year of great shows.
Appreciate it.
Well, yeah, we appreciate that very much. We try to entertain you guys. So this is the Ashland Tragedy from 1881. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
I had never heard of it before today or yesterday or whenever it was that I was doing the notes of this kind of thing. I'm like, how the fuck did I miss this kind of thing? This is exactly like right up my alley, because I really love true crime stuff, and I specifically really like true crime, like old school, like 19th century true crime. So yeah, so this happened right around Christmas Eve, 1881 in Ashland, Kentucky. So there's a woman named Mrs. Gibbons, J.W. Gibbons, and she was, I don't know where she was visiting somebody else. Like she went away to visit family or something like that on December 23rd of 1881. Now, she left at home. She had an 18-year-old son named Robert, a 14-year-old daughter named Fanny, and there's another woman or another young girl that was staying there, 17-year-old Emma Thomas, who was like a friend of theirs or, you know, friend of the family or something like that. She was just staying there. So Mrs. Gibbons goes somewhere on December 23rd. December 24th, like later in the afternoon, she comes back home and finds that her home has been burned to the ground and all three of the people in the house are dead. So what ended up happening was that apparently on the morning of Christmas Eve, December 24th, at around 5 in the morning, neighbors noticed that the Gibbons house was on fire. So a couple of them were able to go in there and drag the bodies out. Unfortunately, they were all already dead by the time that they discovered it. But when they pulled everybody out, they discovered that not only were they already dead when they were pulled out of the fire, but they had already been dead before the fire even started because they had all been murdered. Fanny, the 14-year-old, she had had her skull crushed by a blunt instrument. Emma, it appeared, had been strangled, and it looked as though both girls had been raped. Now, Robert, who was 18, he only had one leg. He'd actually lost a leg in something like a railroad accident or something like that, or like an accident at work. So he only had one leg. What they think happened was that whoever the intruders were, like, came into the house, and then Robert, since he only had one leg and there was only one of him, and they were presuming that there was several attackers, that he couldn't really, he wasn't really a match for them. Now, he did apparently kind of try to get out of the house and, like, yell for the neighbors or, like, warn the neighbors, because this happened in the middle of the night. But before he could do that, apparently the killer or killers kind of snuck up behind him and struck him in the back of the head with a hatchet. At that point, all three of the victims' clothing was saturated with coal oil, and the people were set on fire, but it looked like the fire on the bodies had gone out. So they just were like, fuck it, and then they went outside and then just burned the whole house down. Just, I guess they were trying to cover their tracks or whatever. Not too successfully, as it turns out. So, yeah.
Setting the house on fire just called attention to it.
Well, yeah. Obviously. Mike says, what year was this? 1881. 1881 in Ashland, Kentucky. So obviously this doesn't seem like it was a real big town, so everyone was like shocked and horrified, as you would be. So they were able to raise $1,000 for, which probably that was a shit ton of money back then, for, information leading to the arrest of the killer. And they also the town also hired a private detective named John Norris. Now, because the crowbar, which had been used to beat the one girl to death, and the axe or hatchet that had been used to kill Robert, belonged to the family. So they figured, well, the killers must have known the family or known the layout of the house, because they must have known, like, where the stuff was, so they could, like, go in there and get it, right? Now, the private detective, Norris, his first supposition, which not too crazy, he thought that the killer was actually Mrs. Gibbons' husband. Now, the husband was kind of a drunk, and he'd actually been kicked out of the house like several weeks earlier, because I guess his wife was like through putting up with his shit or whatever. Now, so that was kind of the first. Like I said, that's not crazy, because a lot of times it's husband, and it seemed kind of like a personal vendetta type of crime. Now, I was reading this thing about it that said the community found it hard to believe that Gibbons would rape his own 14-year-old daughter. I'm like, why did they find that hard to believe? That kind of shit happens all the time.
They had never heard of that.
I guess not. I mean, I was like, oh, you sweet summer child. But yeah.
Well, that's not common.
I know, but I'm just saying that the fact, like, nowadays, I don't think anybody would be shocked, like, that happened.
Different Overton window.
I guess so, yeah.
People know that happens now sometimes. So, but I think it's unlikely. Although also, it's unlikely. It's more likely that it was somebody who knew them. They knew that they were there. They knew that there were two girls there that they liked,
and that the mom was gone. Although, well, I don't know, because we'll get into it.
They just didn't care if the mom was there or not.
Yeah.
And they may have been known, because they must have talked their way into the house. They talked their way into the access of those two murder weapons. So they came in there probably on a friendly visit at first, or some kind of a ruse. And then it went that way. Yeah. It may not have been planned. Because if it was planned, they would have brought murder weapons.
Well, see, that's kind of the one, and this doesn't always happen, but anybody that knows a lot about true crime or is, like, into investigation techniques or anything like that, I mean, anytime somebody is killed with something that was just there at the scene, like anytime, she was strangled with her own shoelaces or something like that, that's usually a case of somebody that wasn't gonna murder the person, but then, like, something changed in the middle of the commission of the crime.
Target of opportunity, and it wasn't planned.
Right. Because you see it happen sometimes too, like some cases that I've written about, there were like rape cases, and then like you see that the victim was strangled, like I said, with her own shoelaces or nylons or something like that, and I said that was usually probably somebody that wasn't going to kill the woman. They were just going to rape them, but then, like, after, in the middle, they decided they were going to kill them because they fought back, or they were like, she can identify me because she took my mask off, or something like that. So it's usually something like that. Because usually, if you were like serious, like fucking professional about it or something like that, you'd bring your own shit, right?
Yeah, their kit.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just sounds like a target of opportunity. What's called a disorganized killers. This was a little disorganized. They went over there and saw him, and then things started to go bad, and it didn't go the way those guys wanted it to go, and they attacked. Something like, they didn't know it was going to go that way, or maybe one of them didn't know. But I think it was multiple guys.
Well, yeah, I haven't got to the end of it yet, so you'll find out.
There's too many people for one guy.
Yeah. I mean, there's 3 people in the house. It was 2 girls and 1 guy. I mean, the guy who was 18 and he only had 1 leg, but I mean, still.
Now, he may have had a pistol. He could control 3 people that way. But then he just killed one of them by bashing it and then strangling the other one. It's kind of, I don't know. Maybe he just didn't want to use the pistol. I don't know. It's unlikely. More likely it's multiple guys, and it's kind of a thing of opportunity.
But so, like, for a time, like I said, because the private investigator was kind of going down the road of it being Mr. Gibbons, like the husband who'd been kicked out the house. Now, there were, like, some newspaper stories that came out that had been attributed to Mrs. Gibbons, like the wife, that she was saying that her husband, J.W. Gibbons, was, like, super unstable, like a drunk, that he had spells of temporary insanity, like acting like a loon all the time. In the papers reported that she said that he had threatened to kill the family, that he was going to cut their heads off, and he was going to burn the house down. Like, he was doing all this kind of crazy shit and all this other kind of stuff. So the private detective is out looking for the dude and, thinking, well, he supposedly was, like, suicidal and all that stuff. Well, it's like, well, if he hasn't killed himself so far, like, we'll catch him, like, not too long, because they pretty much know who it is. But most of the people in town, though, I kind of feel like they didn't really think that that's who it was, you know what I mean? Now, in the next town over, the cops actually arrested a guy named Willis Hockaday, who was a black man. And he had been drinking on the day of the murder, and nobody knew where he was that night. And I guess when they picked him up for doing something else, he made some statements that maybe made the cops think that maybe he knew something about it, like they were kind of like incriminating. But there wasn't any other evidence to tie him into the murder, although he's very lucky that he escaped being lynched, because a lynch mob was gathering to
take matters into their
own hands. Even though literally the guy was just drunk and couldn't remember where he was like that night.
Still drinking while black, that's a lynching offense, man.
Well, yeah, and that's kind of what they're saying. So you gotta watch it, especially back then.
Where was that? Kentucky?
Yeah,
Kentucky. Yeah,
big time.
Yeah, he didn't do it though.
No, he didn't.
No, so far from what you're telling me, I think the dad did it.
I thought you just said you didn't think the dad did it.
Well, no. You came out later and said
but I haven't.
Threats.
Yeah, but I haven't finished the story yet.
Okay.
See,
right,
you're just jumping to
conclusions.
Your conclusions before you have all the information.
Then later you said, well, he made threats of burning the house down and cutting.
No, I said the newspaper reported that and attributed it to the wife. But I haven't finished my story yet.
Okay. All right.
I haven't finished my story
yet.
This is a whole story.
Maybe some yellow journalism involved.
Yeah, it's a whole story. Like I said, that's why you can't. You're always trying to like solve shit before you know all the information.
Yeah, okay. See, Jenny's always trying to hold this shit back. Okay.
Because it's
because
I'm telling a story.
Okay, go ahead.
I can't give all the facts at once.
All right. See, I'm turning around now.
He's
turning my back on the show.
Why are you turning
around? I'm good.
Gramther says, Gramther dealt with many criminals over 27 years of chasing criminals. 95% of them don't plan ahead. They just do whatever lizard brain thoughts come into their low-functioning heads.
Yeah.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I believe it. Well, I think that's why people have a fascination with serial killers like, old BTK and stuff like that, because he was like, he super planned that shit. Most of the time, I kind of feel like they don't.
Those dudes are all fucking graded on a damn scale.
Well, yeah.
He was no genius either.
I didn't say he was.
Yeah, no.
I just said that he planned shit.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of them don't plan shit.
He was a genius on the fucking dumbass criminal scale. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is a pretty low bar to clear.
Yeah.
Pretty low bar to clear.
Yeah.
So yeah. Now, as I was saying, so the statements that appeared in the newspaper that were all about the husband's behavior, like acting like a nut, like cutting off their heads and all this other kind of stuff, turns out that Mrs. Gibbons didn't say any of that shit. Or she said some shit that was a lot milder than that, and the newspaper reporter like wildly exaggerated it, like to sell newspapers. So it turned out that the husband, J.W. Gibbons, he comes back to Ashland on January 2nd, and he had an airtight alibi that he was someplace else. So it obviously was not him. So like I said, I kind of feel like now some of the people in the town knew it wasn't him like from the start. So I'm just saying in the newspaper, I'm not sure exactly what the wife said. But she came out later and she said, I didn't say any of that crazy shit that was in the paper that they attributed to me, that I said that he was like, said he was going to cut our heads off and dancing around with a knife and all that other kind of stuff. So I'm guessing that like the newspapers just exaggerated what she said. And I don't know what it was that she said. You know what I mean? But it was clearly like a lot milder than what they printed.
Fake news.
Pretty much.
Fake news.
Pretty much. So, the Ashland Police Department, you had the Detective Heflin was his name. He actually never believed that J.W. Gibbons was the killer. He had his eye on these other people. So the night of January 2nd, which was the same night that Gibbons had come back into town and like proved that he was, somewhere else, the detective arrested 3 dudes, William Neal, Ellis Craft, and George Ellis. So he brings them into custody. I'm not sure entirely like why he suspected them the whole time. I guess because, I don't know, they were around or there was like some kind of other suspicion about them or something. So George Ellis, one of the 3 guys who was a bricklayer, he pretty much, as soon as he was taken into custody, he caved. He immediately admitted, yeah, I was at that house that night of the murders, but it mostly wasn't me. It was the other 2 guys. But at this point, like, what are you going to do, right? He said that the other 2 guys, William Neal and Ellis Craft, that their whole thing was they were boasting that they were going to, quote unquote, carnally know the 2 girls that were now the 2 teenagers before Christmas. That was their goal, apparently.
Yeah. They had lofty goals.
I suppose so. So Ellis says that they woke him up like late that night, which was, Christmas Eve, I guess. And he's like, you have to go with us to Gibbons' house. We're going to do this shit. So he says he went with them, but like reluctantly. I'm like, yeah, I'm sure. So he said that they broke in through a window or crawled in through a window. I don't know if it was unlocked or something. And Ellis said that he watched as one of the guys raped the 14-year-old. And then the other guy like raped the 17-year-old, and George Ellis said that he didn't rape her, but that he held her arms like while it was going on. Now, apparently after the rape, like the 17-year-old girl said, I know who you are and I'm going to tell my mom, at which case, that was probably not the smartest thing to say, not blaming the victim. I'm just saying, I don't know if she really said that. We're just going by what the killer said. Now, apparently, like, the sound of his sister and the friend that was also staying in the house, like, screaming and yelling, that woke up Robert, the 18-year-old, and he went out, and he tried to get out of the house, like, to yell for help, and that was when Kraft, the other guy, like, hit him in the head with an axe and, like, killed him.
So he was killed during all this raping?
Yeah, or immediately afterward. Like, during or immediately afterward.
How long does it take these dudes must be quick, man. But they just put it in and then they're done? Because there's not enough time there.
I don't know.
Yeah. Because you got to rape 2 women, right?
Well, it was 2 guys. Well, they were each raping a different one.
Yeah, but, how long are we talking about? Because
I don't know.
The brother of the one girl is going to wake up, and then they're going to have to stop what they're doing and kill that dude. And then they're going to have to get back to bitch raping time, according to that dude from the Predators. Remember him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just telling you what the dude said.
The timeline sounds funny to me. That's what he said. It didn't go down that way.
Maybe not. Well, the thing about it is that I think the guy that confessed to the cops was probably more involved than he was letting on. You know what I mean? Because he was all just very much like, oh, well, I was there, and like, you know, he didn't deny being there, but I think he tried to like, you know, kind of minimize his involvement a little bit.
He went in there and had to take over first. You know what I mean? To keep everybody under control, they have to do that first. And they killed that dude, and they raped those 2 girls. That's what they did.
Yeah, it might have been. Yeah. I mean, they might have killed him first.
They killed
because,
him.
I mean, the thing about it, like I said, if the girls were screaming and that guy, you know, if he saw that there was 3 guys in the house and he knew that he wouldn't be able to, like, best them, he probably would have tried to, like, run outside to, like, get the neighbors or whatever, and then they, like...
They had that third dude watch that one girl, make sure she didn't run while the 2 were raping that other girl. And then when they were done raping her, that other guy he went in there and got some, too. And then when they were all 3 were done with her, then they strangled her to death. And the other one that was waiting outside that they had out there in the living room or whatever, she didn't know that the other girl got killed. She didn't hear it. Because they were probably told them that they would let him live. So they're probably using mind games on him.
Yeah, because the one was strangled and then the other one was actually like beaten to death with a crowbar.
Yeah, she was the last one because they had time and safety. The other 2 people were dead, so they could take time doing that. So then they just said, here, and then they, boom, started beating her. Maybe she said something that pissed them off, and then it started into that.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I think one of them said that she knew who the guys were, and we're gonna like, and she was
probably not what she said though.
No, I'm just saying.
Probably said something to them that really pissed them off.
Said about their micro dick or something.
Some or just, you know, like, you guys are fucking assholes, you know, and fucking you're gonna hang and that kind of shit, you know. And then they started fighting, you know, and he's like, yeah, you little dick motherfuckers, and then they fucking boom, 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 beat her to death.
It's fucked up.
Yeah.
It's fucked up.
These are criminals.
Clearly.
Stupid motherfuckers.
Yeah. So,
they couldn't get it any other way. They probably didn't have any damn skills.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They have to steal it. They have to rape women. They just can't get it the legitimate way. They're not going to be able to talk their way into it. They don't have enough money to buy their way into it. They just don't have anything. You know, they're losers.
Well, then they should just use their fucking hand and leave everybody else alone.
It's very rare that these guys are some kind of fetishist. I mean, there have been guys who were serial rapists who were acceptable, had good-looking guys, had money, had girlfriends and whole relationships, but they just had this thing where they had to rape women. They had a couple of those.
Well, yeah, because it's a
power thing,
right?
It's like a sexual fetish. And you look at the dude, and he's just like captain of the football team, Mr. Biff, you know, just jock boy, you know, from a fucking wealthy family and shit, and he's raping rich girls basically. And
yeah, I think that happens more commonly than we like to believe.
Yeah. They got that guy. A guy I was thinking about that would happen sometime in the 90s, and I think he got like 20 or 30 of them. And they knew
I know who you're talking about.
They knew who he was and everything. He was hiding out on those damn vacation islands. You know, they didn't have certain didn't have certain extradition laws, but then he eventually raped some girl down there, and I think they got him or killed him or something. I don't remember what it was. It was back in the 90s. Remember, he was young guy in his 20s.
Yeah, I vaguely remember what you're talking about, but I just, you know, I don't know, like, offhand.
Yeah, I forgot it. I don't remember the guy's name. I could kind of see his face. That's it.
Yeah.
Just kind of a generic.
I was gonna say it's like they all kind of look like
a generic jock boy.
They all kind of look
eyes,
like
shirt, stripes and shit. You know, his fucking little white shorts and his little fucking slipper looking fucking shoes. You know what I mean? And fucking that haircut and, you know.
Yeah.
Country club looking bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he was big. You know, he wasn't you know, a little scrawny dude. He was a Chad. But he was just into violent rapes.
Well, yeah, like I said, that doesn't surprise me at all because to an extent, I kind of feel like rape isn't usually about sex, really. It's about power. It's about having power over someone. Like, and a lot of people get off on that. Like,
I
people
think
get
it's a
off on
sexual fetish for the dude, and it's like BDSM basically. It's the fact that he's forcing her. He's getting off on that.
Well, yeah, I think that's pretty common.
Yeah, and his girlfriend like had no idea. She didn't believe it. You know, she couldn't accept it that's who he was, because he had a girlfriend and everything. He was popular with women.
Ted Bundy had a girlfriend too.
Yeah, well, like I said, the dude was popular with women.
Yeah.
And they didn't want to accept it.
Like I said, so it's not necessarily just somebody that can't get it any other way. Sometimes it's somebody that gets off on...
Just get off on it, right.
On forcing people to do what they don't...
But he was the exception, though. He wasn't baseline. Baseline, the dude, it's a loser.
Mike said, what are you guys drinking? Vodka and lemonade.
Yeah, vodka and lemonade.
Tom was thinking about getting some eggnog.
I got the eggnog, but I don't know if I want to spike the eggnog.
Do you have anything to put into eggnog? Do you have any rum or anything?
I don't have any rum. I just had to put vodka in it. Vodka can go in it.
Yeah, I know, but it's usually people put rum or bourbon in
rum.
Or bourbon.
It's not a big difference in the flavor of fucking...
Not really.
White vodka and white rum and vodka, about the same.
That's true.
I think rum might be vodka. I think it's just a different form of vodka. I think it's just made a different way.
Well, then it's not vodka if it's made a different way. I think it's the same thing, except for the fact that it's totally different.
I'm gonna fucking tell the way I
want. I'm just gonna fucking...
They're trying to make vodka.
Whoops. We were trying to make vodka. We made a rum.
Yeah, it's rum.
God damn it. Well, put that in the bottle with the other label on it.
Yeah. It's all good.
Vandal Capture 72 said, "Oh my god, your hair looks great. Thank you. Love the goatee." I don't know if it's like, I don't know if he means my hair or your hair.
I don't know what he's talking about.
You don't have hair.
It's not a goatee, it's a beard, man.
You're looking more and more like Mirror Universe Spock back there.
Yeah. A cross between like Mirror Universe Spock and Ming the Merciless had a baby.
Yeah, which that would be something.
I'm gonna make a Ming outfit.
Yeah, you should.
But I'm gonna do my own reboot of Ming. It'd be nice, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be Jacked Ming. Jacked Ming. It'd be like Porn Ming. I'll just have the collar. I won't even have a shirt, just fucking bare chested, kind of like Khan from Wrath of fucking Khan and shit. And fucking tight ass pants and shit. And I'll sit in the damn throne over there at fucking mannequins. You can take a picture of that. That'll be I'll put that up on Instagram. Be like that. Ming. Yeah. That's the way Ming should have been anyway. Even though Max von Sydow was a fucking great Ming.
I mean, yeah.
He was a sexy motherfucker walking around, fucking eating his little black olives and shit, watching him torture his daughter. Oh no, continue the torture. Fucking, fucking perverted bitches.
Eating black olives like a weirdo.
Alien black olives. Yeah.
No thanks. Yeah. No thanks.
I really bad already. Your days are far too dangerous.
Let's see. Y'all think anything about the soccer game, or was that topic already beat to death? I don't think anybody's talked about because
what's soccer?
What is
never even heard of that.
I think it's the World Cup going.
I've never even heard of that.
I think. I don't know. I haven't followed it in a long time.
Yeah.
I used to kind of know what was going on because my ex-husband was really into it, but that was a long time ago. So I don't know. I thought somebody said something about the World Cup, but
we're Americans. We don't care about that. It's not football.
Well, it's not just that. I don't care about sports at all.
Because football's not football. Football's not. American football is not the game it was fucking even 15 years ago. That's boring.
I don't really give a shit about it. So they're all boring to me.
Boring.
All the sports are boring.
It's boring and it's gay. Okay, straight dudes shouldn't be watching that.
Well, see, the thing about it is that, if it should be gayer though. I mean, because if it was gayer, at least it would be more interesting.
Yeah, NFL came out and said it was gay. They had the big old NFL thing with all the rainbow stuff. It says NFL's gay, and it still got all them damn beta fucking males watching that shit because they're lusting after them black men running around. That's what it is. They're living vicariously, having these sexual ideas about these black superior genetic black men running around those tight ass fucking pants. That's what it is. Ask Zach. He knows all about it. They're right, Zach. It's gay.
He's talking about olives on pizza.
Okay.
I'm not really worried about it either way.
I
Like I
don't
said,
care.
I always thought like sports was really boring,
Nah,
just
fucking
generally.
stupid. Man,
I don't mind watching like shit like gymnastics and stuff, but
here's the fucking thing, man. Those snowbirds are here now. Okay, and they're going down to the biker bar. And they just stick out like fucking sore thumbs versus the locals. And they go there and they put the fucking football game on. But the bikers don't let them fucking put the volume on. They have to use captions because they're not getting in the way of that jukebox. And they'll yell and fight over that fucking game. Okay? And you look at those dudes, and those dudes are like, they all look alike. They're the least physically fit motherfuckers of all times. You know what I mean? Into the athletic prowess of other men, it's just suspicious. It's just very suspicious to me.
I think what happens a lot of times is, well, at least like some like family members that I knew that were really into it were like sometimes they would play it in high school, but then like they got out of shape like later, like when they got older they couldn't play anymore, so they just like, I guess they were watching it try to like relive their glory days or something.
I don't know. I was looking at those dudes. I don't think those dudes were ever physically fit. The ones that were sitting there watching.
Well, I'm not talking about. I don't know those fucking dudes. I'm talking about like in my experience.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you. You said what your experience was, so I was
Yeah.
telling you what my experience was.
I've noticed that bikers don't give a shit about any of that shit or sports. They're just like.
Well, they're bikers.
They don't give a shit about any of that. No.
I mean, where I grew up in Daytona, everyone was into NASCAR. A lot of people,
bikers who watch NASCAR.
A lot of people were into football too, but I kind of
yeah.
feel like the main thing, because I grew up in Daytona Beach, so that's like a big.
Yeah.
That's where obviously they do
Yeah.
the Daytona 500. So obviously, like NASCAR was like a big thing, but bikers are a big thing too, because like I said, they started Bike Week and Biketoberfest and all those biker bars and shit. So
Yeah. I could see those bikers watching NASCAR if they were ever going to watch anything on TV.
yeah,
But they don't seem to like even TV. Which okay. I don't consider myself a biker. People. I have motorcycles, but I don't consider myself to be a biker. To be a biker, in my mind, you got to have a fucking Harley. And really, you should be in a club. You should be in a motorcycle. Then you're a biker. And they got them down there. It's fucking warlocks.
well, it's kind of like a whole lifestyle. You know what I mean?
warlock.
It's not just kind of like.
And I get getting drunk with the warlocks. They're just like anybody else. I saw a damn little bit of fucking thing that they did on the warlocks, fucking on the History Channel, and I laugh at that shit. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's not what they're like when you know them. They're just like anybody else in the fucking bar. But they don't. Certain questions you don't ask. I said, how many? I said, what's a membership? How many members you got in your chapter? And they went, enough. I went, oh, okay. But they don't tell you how many they have. All right.
Tammy said NASCAR is just waiting for the wrecks. Yeah, I feel like that's probably
Yeah.
why. Because otherwise, it's just people driving really fast in a circle. Like that's not really all that exciting, to be honest with you. But yeah, okay. So where was I? I was in the middle of this story. Yeah. I know you don't know.
Yeah.
I know you don't know. So yeah. So do we even remember? Nobody even remembers what I was talking about, do they? So so the guy that had confessed to the cops. He basically said the reason that he broke down and confessed right away because he said that he felt really, really bad, like because the way that the girls had like screamed and stuff when they were like raping and killing them, and he hadn't been able to sleep since then, and he felt like really, really bad. So he just couldn't stand it any longer, and that he had just been praying every day, and he was just kind of like, I know that what we did was bad, and I'm just like ready to hang or whatever. Now, he came and said what the story was, but the other two guys were like, nah, bro, that's not what happened. And they just, like, totally denied it up and down. So the cops take all three of them on the steamboat, and they take them to this town called Catletsburg. I'm not entirely sure, like, how far away that is. So, again, there was a lynch mob, gathering up, like, gonna grab them and, like, hang them from a tree someplace. But the cops did actually manage to get them in jail and, like, put them safely away before the lynch mob got to them. So they actually had 10 armed guards around the prisoners at the jail. And they did actually manage to keep them from getting lynched until their kind of trials came. Now, eventually, William Neal, one of the other guys, he did finally confess to the crime. But the third guy, Ellis Craft... he just swore up and down that they didn't do it, that he didn't do it, and he just, like, pled not guilty. However, all of them were charged with aiding, abetting, and conspiracy to commit murder. George Ellis, who was the one that had confessed first, he was actually separately charged with 3 counts of murder because they were doing like a technicality because they wanted him. I guess like the law said that he would have to do that like so he could testify against the other 2 guys for some reason. So yeah, that's how they did it. So at that point, Neil got mad and he's like, okay, well, I'm changing my plea to not guilty also. But as it turned out, all 3 of the guys were convicted. Neil and Kraft, who were the 2 that hadn't confessed, they were found guilty of first-degree murder and they were sentenced to hang. Ellis, who testified against the other 2, he was actually found guilty of manslaughter, so he got a lesser charge for confessing, and he was sentenced to life in prison. However, people in Ashland, Kentucky were not real happy about that.
No, imagine they lynched his ass.
So a group of 40 men with masks on broke into the jail through the window and dragged him out the jail with a rope around his neck and hung him from a tree. Yeah. So that was the confessed dude. Yep. Now, the other 2 guys who hadn't confessed but got convicted anyway, they appealed their convictions and they were granted new trials, and they did like a change of venue because they argued that they couldn't get a fair trial where they were. So they took them to another place called Maysville, Kentucky. There was 220 state troopers like guarding them because, like I said, they just knew that somebody was gonna like drag out and fucking kill the motherfuckers. Actually, when they were in the steamboat, like taking them to the other venue, like a group of guys, this was like fucking 1881 Kentucky, you guys, a bunch of people like started opening fire on the steamboat. Yeah. Like trying to kill the guys.
Just shoot the steamboat up.
Yeah. And then the cops started shooting back at them. Yeah. So the cops actually killed one of the guys and wounded a bunch of the other ones.
So they're having whole riots behind these guys.
Right.
And y'all think it's crazy now. And it was fucking crazy back in the 1800s. Man.
I mean, yeah, this is fucking crazy. Like, one of the dudes has already been lynched, and then the other ones, they're just, like, fucking shooting at him. Yeah. Which, I mean, I understand the sentiment. I mean, what they did was fucked up, right? Yeah. So it turned out that 5 spectators that were along the riverbank, they got killed. 21 got wounded. Unfortunately, the prisoners got there completely unharmed, which is kind of ironic. Like, a bunch of other people got hurt, but they didn't. So they got a second trial in a different venue, but they did not prevail this time around. They got convicted again of first-degree murder and again sentenced to hang. So one of them, Kraft's brother, who was trying to keep his brother from being hanged, he goes and scares up a black man in Columbus, Ohio, who had supposedly confessed to the crimes. They was like desperately trying to like find somebody else to pin it on. What happened was this guy's name was William Dyerly, and the story went that he had given this woman a bracelet that had supposedly, allegedly belonged to one of the murdered girls, but nobody believed this because obviously it was just a family member trying to keep his fucking brother from getting hanged or anything like that. So everybody was like, fuck that. That dude didn't do anything. It was also believed that the brother's friends, or that like the friends of Kraft, like the guy that was going to get hanged, that they were going to lynch that guy, the black guy, like to draw attention away from Kraft. So they had like all kind of nefarious plots going on with this because these were like fucking shitbags, man. So the thing about that, fair play to the people of Ashland, like they didn't believe obviously that William Dyerly, like the black guy, had done anything, and they were actually like super nice to him. And they made sure that, you know, nothing bad happened to him because they knew that he was like getting fucked over because of these miscreants, you know what I mean? So they actually did hang Ellis Kraft on October 12th, 1883 in Grayson, Kentucky. And a big old crowd came out and had a fucking party when they hanged him. Yeah. And he basically went to the hangman saying that he was innocent. So I'm not sure I buy that, but okay. Guilty. Yeah. William Neal, the other guy, he got hanged also in Grayson on March 27th, 1885, also professing innocence until his dying breath. But like I said, probably not. Probably not. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Before we get off the subject, this is a good time to bring up do some clarification. Especially this involved a dude that almost got fucking lynched for drinking while black. But there's a lot of mainstream misconceptions about lynching and the Klan and all this kind of stuff. modern day Hollywood will tell you that the Klan went around lynching people. Most lynchings were not done by Klan members. They were just done by regular townspeople. Okay. Usually how it went down is someone was found guilty of some kind of a heinous crime. They busted in a mob of people, an angry mob. We're saying, we're not going to let that motherfucker go to jail. We're going to kill him. Or we're not going to let them hang him. We're going to hang him. That's how rudimentary the thinking was. They would bust into the damn courthouse, sometimes even before the dude was found guilty. Okay. Grab him, take him out, and lynch him. And they'd take pictures. Whether the guy was white or black, they'd take pictures. If it was... Because they did the same thing to white people, especially if it was crimes against women and children. That was it. If it was a black guy, a lot of times what would happen is Klan members would run out there to try to take pictures with the people, because they would take pictures along with the body. Which kind of, when you go back and look at those old pictures, makes it look like the Klan did it. Klan didn't do it. Klan was just trying to take credit for it, because that's the way their thinking was. Really, it was just the townspeople did it. So it was a lot more widespread in the South. You know, you can't just put all that on the damn Klan. The Klan were bad, but the townspeople were bad too. It was just kind of the way people were at the time. They were. Yeah,
I mean, I'm not obviously. That's a very problematic. Lynching is very problematic. Like, what is whoever it is. Like, even if it's a criminal or something. In this case. It's still not. You should have let the trial go through, I guess. But it's like I have less because they probably did do it. I mean, it seems like
it was a Southern thing, and if you go back in time and read the way Southerners were, even in the early 1900s, they were known as being very emotional, and they weren't very legalistic.
So emotional.
And it would be like, this is not right. You know what I mean? The law is wrong. We're right. It was that kind of shit. We're going to take matters in our own hands. God is on our side, or just whatever. You know what I mean? They would get emotional in a big fucking mob and kill somebody who maybe wasn't even found guilty yet, because they believed that person was guilty.
Well, yeah.
That's fucking dangerous, man.
Yeah, big time. And
I'm like mass psychosis.
Well, and I'm sure that, because a lot of times, and I've written about some cases, particularly ones that happened like in the early 20th century, where, somebody gets arrested for a crime and everybody like flips out about it. It's like, oh my God, like let's kill this guy, or like try to lynch that guy. And then then you find out later on that it wasn't him. Yeah. Like it was some other random motherfucker.
Yeah.
And so, if they lynched that guy, that was a totally innocent person. So you gotta fucking watch it.
If the guy got found guilty, that angry mob all of a sudden felt justified. Okay, now we can kill him. And they'd fucking break into the damn courthouse or the jail, which the jail and the courthouse are usually the same thing in these little towns. These are little towns. They might have 5 cops, and they can't fight off 100 people with guns. Okay? And they'd go out there and they'd grab that dude, fucking haul him outside, just hang him right there. Even if he was sentenced to hang anyway. A lot of times they were already sentenced to hang. But it was just the thinking of the time. They were...
wasn't happening fast enough.
Wasn't happening fast enough for them. They wanted vengeance. A very emotional-based people. If you look at photographs of the because they would take photographs. If you looked at the photographs of the lynching scenes and just look at the people... It's not even like it's the same country. There was like a third world country, malnourishment in the people. You can see it. Poverty, poor. The IQs weren't very high, Probably inbreeding too, But it's just, the world is a developing world, America was way underneath what India would be today at that time, And weird shit happens in India. And India would be advanced compared to the United States at this time that we're talking about. So, that's the way humans are, man. Humans are dangerous. Fucking difficult to control. Especially when they're dumb.
Yeah, you gotta watch those dumb people.
Dumb people, yeah.
There's Demetrios. Hello.
Dimitri, jump in.
Is it really you?
Is it really Dimitri? They had somebody in here impersonating your wife last night.
Well, I kind of feel like that's why he came in and said that, because that's similar to what she said last night.
Yeah.
That's what she said. Yeah. So, and then sticking the tongue out. We're still trying to figure out who that is. We don't know if it's like
I'm going to make us another drink. Hold on.
I didn't know if it was somebody stalking us or stalking you guys or...
Nah.
We don't really know. It was just, well, I don't know. It was just weird. And it was weird, too, when we were saying that earlier because, like, whoever this was that was impersonating her, like, they didn't say anything fucked up or nothing like that. They just said one thing, and it was just, like, sounded like something she would have said, so we didn't really, like, worry about it. Mike says, Jenny, do you like Italian or American horror? Both of them. I like all horror, really. You know, I'll watch any of it from anywhere if it's good. I do particularly like Italian horror, though. I really like Giallo movies and stuff. But I like lots of different kinds, so you know. Yeah, Hugo said lynching was a spectacle back in the day. Yeah, I kind of feel like up until, you know, relatively modern times... You know, it was kind of a big deal to, like, go out and see somebody executed. Hey, let's go to the witch burning, or hey, let's go to the hanging, or something like that, which, you know, seemed like kind of fucked up. It's kind of fucked up. You know what I mean? Let's take the kids and, like, a big picnic lunch and, like, watch the people get burned alive. This is, like, messed up. And it didn't, like, make... I don't know. I just kind of feel like it was just done for, like, entertainment purposes. I'm sure they justified it by saying it's like, oh, it's a deterrent to crime. It's like, obviously it wasn't because the fucking... I think it actually just made people probably, like, a lot more, you know, inured to it.
What you talking about?
People just, you know, just public executions and shit like that.
Yeah, it was violent, man. People were very violent.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, and I'm sure, like, they probably justified it by saying it, like, deterred crime, but I'm like, yeah, it probably had the opposite effect, I would think.
I don't know. Probably didn't really matter. I think people did whatever they wanted to do anyway. They tried to get away with whatever they tried. You know, it was, this was the hood, you know? They did whatever. It was the hood.
All right. So, the second Christmas disaster that we're going to talk about is one that's probably, like, slightly a little bit better known, I kind of feel like. But this was the Italian Hall disaster. This happened in 1913. And this was actually the largest... This is... Okay. This needs a little bit of a caveat. They call it the largest mining-related disaster to occur in Michigan. But it wasn't a mine cave-in, or it wasn't anything like that. It didn't actually happen in a mine. It was just, like, mining-related. But it is, like, really, really bad. Hey, Pokey's on the show!
She yelled when I was trying to grab you. No! You don't want to, she doesn't want to be on the show. I
don't want to be on the show!
Yeah, she never likes to be on the show.
Well, she just doesn't like being, like, grabbed and, like...
Oh, I do it all day long.
Well, I know, but I mean, maybe she just likes...
There's something about this room.
Yeah, she
likes it in there.
I like to be, like, free to, like, walk around.
Yeah.
I like to be free to walk around.
Yeah. I think each room represents a different state of mind in the cat.
It seems like...
Because when I'm in the bedroom watching stuff, I can wrestle with her, put her on my lap, and she likes that. But I'm in here. And in here, I guess, is more like playroom. Because she's got all the toys. So she doesn't want to be picked up in here.
Well, in here, too, is brushy and also jumping up on Mommy's desk and falling asleep on her keyboard. Or licking the keyboard.
Only certain things happen in certain rooms. Each room has a different function in her.
Then out in the living room is
catching
is throwing things and catching
things. Catching things. Right.
She likes to play with, like, her chicken and stuff. Like, you can throw it and, like, she's, like, grabbing. Yeah, so, yeah, she's got, like,
little workstations.
Yeah, she's got, like, little activity stations. Little Pookie activities. Yeah. I know Tammy says, Pookie! All right. So, yeah, the Italian Hall disaster, considered the largest mining-related disaster, even though it didn't happen in an actual mine, but I'll get into that in a little bit. So, this happened in a little bitty town called Calumet, Michigan. Not really sure if you know where that is. It's
right next to the Overlook.
The Overlook.
Remember Calumet?
Isn't I know, but
yeah, that was in the damn storehouse.
It was, but that's that's like some other shit. But yeah, this was in the it's Keweenaw Peninsula. Sophie's not here. She's from Michigan. She could have told me where this was.
Gramper's is from Michigan.
That's right. Yeah, Gramper's is here. Yeah. So the shitty thing about this is that this was a mining accident that actually ended up affecting like the women and children, like the wives and the children of the miners, like more than the actual miners. So it happened on Christmas Eve back in 1913, as I mentioned. Now, before the town was called Calumet, it was actually called Red Jacket. And the main company there that employed a large number of people in the town was like a copper mine. It was like a big copper mining operations. So Red Jacket, the town, was like a company town, which, like I said, if you don't know what that is, that's like, you know, a big mine or a big industrial factory type thing would open, and then they would essentially build a town around it to house all of their employees. You know, so a lot of people didn't really... They're a little bit exploitative, I guess, because it's just kind of like they end up, you know, the company opens like a company store and like houses and stuff like that. So you're pretty much working for the company, but you're also like giving money back to them because you're buying shit from their store and paying them rent like for your house and all this other kind of stuff. So that's kind of like what this situation was. So this place was called the Calumet and Hecla Mining Company. This was a copper mine. In the 1870s, known as the world's largest copper producer, and had the deepest copper mines, at least at that time. But right around this time period, obviously, there was a lot of push for unionization, you know, like organized labor and stuff, like fighting for... Because at this point, they didn't have, you know, a minimum wage. They didn't have, like, you know, standard hours, like they could work like really long hours. You didn't like have a lot of rights, you know what I mean? So there was like a lot of push to unionize, and this kind of place, you know, the workers at this mine were no different. There were a lot of them going on strike and things like that. So in 1913, miners in Colorado and in Montana had unionized, and in July of that same year, 1913, the Western Federation of Miners actually called for a strike against all the copper country mines. They were actually pushing for a $3 a day wage, 8-hour days, because like I said, you didn't, you know, they could work you as long as they wanted pretty much back then. Safer working conditions, shit like that. So the strike had been going on for a while. Like it started in July and then like it went on into the fall and on into the winter. And as Christmas was approaching, there was the Women's Auxiliary Group of the Western Federation of Miners, and they put together a Christmas Eve party for all of the miners' families. And this was at a place called the Italian Benevolent Society building, better known as the Italian Hall for short. So it was a big, huge party. It was like several stories. I think it was a 3-story building, if I'm remembering the pictures correctly. There were probably more than 600 people inside there. They had like a bunch of stuff. They had like a play, and they had like all the presents for the kids and all kind of food laid out and stuff, like a big Christmas party. You know what I mean? Yeah, the people that, you know, the organizers said that it was like such a big party that they couldn't even like keep track of who the fuck was going in and out because there was just so many people there. So at the height of the party, somebody yelled fire. So as would happen in that situation with all of those people in there, pretty much everybody panicked and started running for the exits. So they started trying to get out through the stairwell. Somebody tripped or started to fall over, like in the steps and stuff like that, at which point a bottleneck was created and people just started falling one on top of the other. And nobody could get out, essentially. So, yeah, lots and lots of people were killed. And the ironic thing was there wasn't actually a fire. And one of the things about it that it kind of, because Woody Guthrie wrote a song about it later. The story goes that they think that like some anti-union person had come in there and like yelled fire, like just for shits and giggles or like to see what would happen or something like that. Nobody knows if that's the case. Somebody yelled fire, that's for sure, and everybody panicked, even though there wasn't a fire. You know what I mean? And they're like, well, it's possible too that it could have been maybe somebody thought there was a fire. You know, maybe they weren't being like nefarious and they just actually did think and they thought they were helping. But as it happened, like I said, there wasn't actually a fire, but so many people tried to get out through the exits and like people got trampled and like a bunch of people got killed, many of whom were children. So they had to pull all the dead bodies like out of this huge pile in the stairwell where, like I said, they had all kind of like fallen over one another and like people had smothered and like, you know, were trampled and stuff. So they carried them all out to the town hall, and that was just like a big morgue. You know, to people's, it was awful. Like, cause like I said, it was mostly women and children of the miners, you know. So they had to like send for all these fucking coffins because they said, the article I was reading said, you know, even this was a mining town, and obviously there's like a lot of accidents and stuff, so you'd think that they'd have like, this is gonna sound fucked up, but you'd think they'd had enough coffins laying around, but they didn't. So they had to like rush some like from other towns and stuff. So it seems like this town too, like after it happened, like people were flipping out because, like I said, the mine ownership and the, you know, union were like at odds. And because the story went around, whether it was true or not, that some anti-union representative or somebody that worked for the mining company had come in there and yelled fire and made everybody panic like that, so there was like a lot of contention like between the two groups, and there's still a little bit of it like now, like it even like remains as far as I know, because they still have like a memorial there and they still put out candles like every Christmas Eve and stuff. And they said that even a couple days after it happened, like there was these writers there from like a Finnish newspaper, and they printed a story that said that calling the deaths murder because somebody had come in there and like yelled that on purpose, like to make everybody freak out. And those writers got arrested like for saying that. So they had this massive fucking, this massive funeral and all this other stuff. 20,000 spectators showed up. All these other, union people from all around like came and shit like that. And I'm trying to like look, like I said, it's probably mostly famous because the Woody Guthrie song about it. I think in the song, and these were like rumors that went around too, not just that the person that yelled fire, that they didn't even know who it was, but there were also like rumors that the doors in the Italian hall were designed to open inward, which, you know, people said, oh, it's like was this nefarious thing, so if there ever was actually a fire, like no one could get out. But that turned out not to be the case. And I think that there were some rumors going around too that like that the doors did open outward, but that like people were on the other side like pushing against it, like to keep people from coming out. And I think that was like debunked also. But like I said, emotions were pretty high after this incident, as you know they probably would be. So they actually tore down the old Italian hall in 1984. And they kind of like, they did like a park at the site and like a memorial and stuff. And I think that they just put a new memorial there like in 2017 or 2018 or something like that. I was trying to look because I thought I had in my notes here like how many people had died in the thing, but I don't think my notes said actually. It was quite a lot, but it was mostly like children, like women and children. Because, like I said, it was, like, the families of the miners that were there. But that was all... Because you know how, when people talk about, like, restrictions about free speech, and it's like you don't have, like, the right to, like, yell fire in a crowded theater. This is what they're talking about. This is the case that they're talking about. Because somebody came in and did that, even though there wasn't a fire, and everybody panicked and, like, started running for the exits, and they all got trampled. Like, mostly, like, a bunch of little kids.
They taught us about this case in 3rd grade, man. Fucking elementary, Dominguez Elementary School. Remember?
Yeah.
That's when they talked about this, yeah. And the lesson was just don't yell for fire in a crowded theater. That they were telling us that. Don't.
Tetsuo says 73 people died, 59 of which were children.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. I could have sworn that I wrote down the numbers up there, but then when I was looking, I couldn't see it. But I was having problems with my computer earlier, so it might have like fucking erased it.
It was funny that they would teach little kids about this case even in the 3rd grade.
That's funny that you remember that you learned about it. Like I think that we learned about it, but I think it was a little bit later than that. I don't think I learned about it in elementary school.
No, I think I learned about it in elementary school. I think it had something to do with responsibility of like crying wolf and telling the truth and fucking and how lies can get people killed. I think that's what the lesson was. But it's a long time. But I remember they told us about this case that you can't yell fire in a crowded theater and you can't fucking say something happened when it didn't happen. Education was different back then. I remember.
Well, I think that's a good. I mean, this is a good. This is a good story to illustrate that, and it like actually did happen.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's not even a case because they don't really know if the person that yelled fire, because they know somebody did, but they don't know if that person did it on purpose to get everybody to panic, or if they legitimately thought there was a fire for whatever reason,
Probably
and so they were
just
they were just mistaken.
Yeah. Probably thought.
I mean, I kind of feel like people were pretty quick to attribute, I guess, like I said, because there'd been so much contention between, the union organizers and the company owners, that people just jumped to the conclusion, well, that must have been somebody that came in and did that on purpose, which it's possible that did happen, but that's like the conclusion most people jump to. But I mean, like I said, it is still possible that somebody legitimately did think there was a fire. Maybe they just saw some smoke from somewhere and they thought they were saving everybody. But that's not what happened, So that's kind of a bummer. All right, so the next one we want to talk about, actually maybe...
Want to take a break?
Yeah, let me run to the bathroom real quick. Now, I'm going to put some commercials on.
Yeah, the commercials are all linked together, aren't they?
Well, there's two of them. Can you see it?
Not with my glasses on. I can see it from here, I guess.
It says commercial string 1, commercial string 2.
Yeah.
Can you see that?
I can see them kind of.
You can kind of see it?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to go to the bathroom. I'm going to run to the bathroom.
And 2.
Pick 1 and 2. See, you can see it. 1 and 2.
All right. See, watch. I'll do that shit right now. You ready?
Yeah.
You guys tell me if you guys see this. Okay, you guys tell.
right, we're back.
Yep.
I know. I was just telling Tom. I was like, I went in the bathroom just now, and like I closed the doors because that bathroom has 2 doors, and I closed both the doors, and then I turned around and like Pookie was on the bath mat, like the shower, or the little shower rug or whatever, which is the same color as her, and so I didn't see her. She was like hiding on there.
Yeah.
I was like, get out of here. And she's so weird. She does that to me sometimes. Like sometimes if I get up in the middle of the night, like to go pee, she'll be. Then I really can't see her then because then it's dark. So she just like smooshes down like in the middle of the thing, and she's like, hey, she can't see me. Anyway, all right. So yeah, had some little commercials there.
Yeah, gives you guys a break. Give everybody a break.
Yeah, so we could run to the bathroom without just looking at an empty chair.
Yep.
So I can't believe that we've only been going for like 2 hours.
Yeah, that's the show.
And I only have...
We're behind. A show shouldn't be longer than 2 hours. Jenny will do a 4-hour show. She didn't give a shit.
Well, it's not that I don't give a shit. It's just that sometimes I want to
that's good.
I want to get to all the material.
Yeah.
And sometimes we get off on sidetracks and I can't get to all the material.
No, it's going along nicely.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like I said, it's like a Christmas special. Like I said, it's like the Christmas special, but it's not like special Christmas special.
It's just a special.
Because I feel like, well, that one will be Friday night, because then we can just talk about.
That's kind of like the vodka that's a little bit like rum, but they make it differently. That's what she's fucking saying. Okay, that's what she's fucking saying.
Not exactly, because it's the. I mean,
it's like rum.
It's the same thing in
but
kind.
They make it differently. Okay.
Well, you know, a cake and a meatloaf, it's the same thing, but they just make it differently.
Make it a little bit different.
It's got completely different ingredients. But fundamentally, it's the same thing.
I'll live with this smart ass. Okay.
I can't help it. I come from like a huge line of. I mean, everyone in my entire family is smartasses.
Yeah.
It's genetic.
Okay.
So it's like there's not. I mean, sarcasm is just kind of like our native language.
Okay.
So that's just kind of how we roll. You know what I mean? I can't help it. I can't help it. Murder Hornet said, I was in Florida 3 this afternoon. Now I'm in Texas.
Yeah, he's over the Panhandle.
Really?
Yeah.
That's kind of, well, it's not that far from us, but it's still kind of far.
Yeah.
How far does it take to drive to the Panhandle?
Probably about 4 or 5 hours.
I think it's like 4 or 5 hours from here. Or something like that. That's kind of far. All right, so the next Christmas disaster that we're going to talk about. And I apologize in advance to anybody from New Zealand, because I'm sure I'm going to like butcher all of these names. But this is known as, oh God, I hope I'm pronouncing this right, the Tangiwai Disaster. This happened in 1953. And this happened on Christmas Eve of 1953. And what it was a railway bridge that was over the Whangahu River, hopefully that's kind of right, in New Zealand, ended up collapsing under a passenger train, while the passenger train was going across it, and it collapsed from underneath the train. 151 people were killed. So the train was actually the 3 p.m. express train, and it was going from Wellington to Auckland in New Zealand. So it was the engine, like the locomotive, and it had 11 carriages. 4 of them were first class carriages, 5 were second class carriages, and then it had a guard's van and like a post van, like that had mail and stuff in it. On the train in total were 285 people. That included both passengers and crew. What's up, Pokey?
Yeah, she's putting up with it.
She's putting up with it today. Yeah. She's like, you want to be still?
Yeah.
You want to sit still? Look at her little face.
She's putting up with me petting her.
She's making mad face. She made mad face.
Yeah.
I saw it.
She's purring. She's purring.
Maybe it's not mad face. It looks like mad face, though.
You mad?
She kind of went. She's like. She's.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got it, Jenny. Go ahead and do the show.
You're so cute.
I got it.
Okay, so 285 people. So the train is approaching this bridge that's going across the Whangahu River. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. Now, they knew, like, afterward that the driver, while it was approaching the bridge, like, hit the emergency brakes and, like, turned the steam off. So they also shut off the oil supply valve for the fire. So they imagined that somebody, that they either saw that something was wrong or somebody signaled to them, hey, stop, or something like that. They're not entirely sure, but they're like, well, they did make an attempt to stop. So they knew that something was the matter. But unfortunately, it was too late for them to stop. So the train goes onto the bridge, and the bridge collapsed from beneath them. So the locomotive, like the engine on the front, and the 5 second-class carriages went right into the river. The first of the first-class carriages kind of like went on the edge like that. And then the coupling attaching it to the rest of the train broke, and it fell into the water also. There were 3 first-class carriages that stayed up on the bridge, along with the guards van and the postal van.
They got lucky.
They got lucky, yeah. Well, first-class passengers, man, that's what happens. You get to live, all the poor people get to die. But yeah, so that all stayed. So all those people were okay. So, as I mentioned, 151 people killed by this train derailment, including the driver and the guy that did the fire into the, the coal thing.
The coal dude.
The coal dude.
Coal porter, is that what they're called?
Coal porter.
That's not what it's called?
It said, well, the article I read called him the fireman.
Fireman? Okay.
Which I was like, well, that's a little confusing, because that's also another thing.
Coal porter is the guy who carries coal, right?
Yeah, I know, but it's just like I was laughing because there's also that singer named Cole Porter.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No,
but yeah.
not really.
What?
No, I don't really know what you mean.
What else is new? What else is new? So yeah, 151 people. Of the 151 people killed, 148 of them were second-class passengers, of course. And a single first-class passenger who got unlucky. Because, like I said, one of the first-class
now, the ones that went in to drink, did they all instantly die, or did someone live?
I think they all pretty much died. And actually, they didn't even recover all the bodies.
Okay.
Like, 20 of the bodies they never found.
Right.
So it's just...
They're down here with that train.
Well, no, like, they think that it went into the river, and then they got washed out to sea. Like, they did find some of the bodies, but not... The 20 of them they have never found.
You would think some of them... How far was the drop?
Oh, I don't know.
You'd think someone would have lived.
I don't know, man. But it's like, it's fucked up.
I mean, it's pretty massive. Train's pretty massive.
Yeah.
And then hitting the water is not going to slow it down much. And then it's going to hit the ground. So it's almost going to be like falling.
Yeah.
It's like falling from a long height. So when it hits the bottom of that river, it kills you. Boom. You slam into the damn wall or whatever is in front of you. Busts you out pretty bad.
I was just wondering, like, what was it? Because it's not like... They know for sure that the engineer, like the guy that was steering the train, that he had hit the brakes. So he saw something was the matter, but it's like, the weird thing is that it wasn't a case of like, oh my God, the bridge is out, because it didn't collapse until the train like went on it, because it couldn't take the weight anymore. So it's really interesting, like what was it that warned him, you know what I mean, that it was not safe.
Maybe the bridge wasn't straight.
Maybe
he saw it.
Like they know that he saw something because he tried to stop, like before he went onto the bridge, and it wasn't like the bridge didn't collapse until the train went on it.
Maybe it was sagging or something.
Yeah, maybe that. And he was just like, "Oh shit,
said, that ain't right.
That's not right." Yeah. Well, yeah, it's obviously not right. But yeah, so obviously they have like all the rescue teams like come and try to like get everybody out. Like I said, 20 of the bodies they never found. They did have a bunch of the local farmers and stuff, and they kind of like went down around the river and everything. They did actually get 60 bodies out of the river. And I think like Queen Elizabeth II was there at the time, so she kind of went on TV and talked about how like thoughts and prayers and all that bullshit or whatever. So they set up an inquiry to investigate what had caused the problem, obviously, because they wanted to figure it out so to prevent it from happening again. And what they determined was that there's a type of mudslide that is called, I guess it's called a lahar or a lahar. I've never actually heard that term before, and I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. But I guess it's like a kind of mudslide. It's a particular kind. what ended up happening was that there'd been a mudslide because I guess like a dam had burst or leaked or something like farther upriver, and there'd been a mudslide and it had washed away one of the bridge supports, and not too long before the train came by. So when the train came onto the bridge, like it couldn't support the weight anymore, obviously, and it collapsed and most of the train like fell off. So basically this did have a silver lining because the New Zealand Railways Department, they actually installed a mudslide warning system like after this so that you'd be warned in advance and you could stop the train before you went on the bridge. And actually this ended up, really like saving their bacon in 2007 because almost the exact same thing happened as in 1953. A big ass mudslide came through and like pulled, but this time they had the early warning system and the train was stopped like before the bridge collapsed and everyone was fine. So, so like I said, at least some good came out of it, even though 151 people died, which is pretty fucked up. So this is still the most deadly rail accident in the history of New Zealand. So there's that, and it happened on Christmas Eve. Here's another really cheerful story, and I'm sure I'm going to pronounce this really wrong, too. This happened in South Korea, in Seoul, South Korea. The Daeyeongak Hotel Fire, 1971. And I'm probably not going to say that word again, so we're just going to call it the hotel.
G-A-K?
It's Daeyeonggak.
Okay.
I've seen it spelled a couple different ways, but that was the most common way that I've seen it. He's like, he lived in Korea for a while. He's like, even I don't know what the fuck that is. No. Yeah, it's like I'm sure I was like way far off. Yeah. But yeah, this happened in 1971, and this building, this hotel, was a skyscraper. And this happened on Christmas Day, 1971. 164 people killed, 63 were injured. Deadliest hotel fire in history. So this hotel was 22 stories, a luxury hotel, which had been finished in 1969. It had 222 rooms. Now, on Christmas Day of 1971, there were 187 guests in the hotel and about 130 workers, like they think about that many. Of the registered guests, about 47 of them were foreigners, so were not Koreans, but the rest of them were Koreans. Now, interestingly, this was 1971, and this had just been finished in 1969. Now, the way the building was designed, this has been pointed to as one of the things that caused, it didn't cause the fire at first, but it caused like a lot of people to die in it. Because the hotel had two internal stairwells. Now, the internal stairwells were there in case the elevators failed, but they didn't have any fire exits and they didn't have any staircases on the outside, like that, no access to the outside. And also the hotel didn't have fireproof doors. So what ended up happening was that when the fire started, the stairwells filled up with smoke, and it kind of like acted as a chimney, so it spread the fire quicker to like the upper floors of the building. That's what ended up happening. Like I said, the building didn't have any external emergency staircases or anything like that. The walls between the rooms were not fire resistant, which made, again, the fire spread much quicker. And the tower also didn't have any battery-operated exit lights, which meant that once the fire got really bad, like, people had a hard time getting out because the halls were dark and they couldn't see where they were going. So that was, like, pretty shitty, too. So they think that the fire was actually caused when a propane gas tank exploded. They'd been using it in the hotel's coffee shop, like, as cooking fuel. The coffee shop was on the second floor. So this thing blew up. It didn't... The explosion itself didn't cause that much damage, but it did start a fire. And again, the fire spread really quickly because of the layout of the hotel. The fire ended up burning for 10 hours. Now, as I said, a lot of people couldn't find their way out because there weren't any battery-powered lights. So when the power went out, they were kind of fucked because it was just all smoke and they couldn't see anything. The fire department did come, but the ladders only reached the 8th floor, which meant that everybody from the 9th floor to the 22nd floor was fucked. So only 8 people were ultimately reported as being rescued from out the window. And if you do a Google search on this, there's one very famous photograph that actually won some kind of, I don't think it won a Pulitzer, but it won like some kind of photographic award for this year, of a guy jumping out the window like on a mattress, like out of the, like, and he's just like flying through the air like on a mattress. And I don't think that dude made it. But yeah, so it's like a very famous photo from this trip because people were jumping out the windows because they were burning to death, you know what I mean? So they actually got 12 helicopters, including some from U.S. military bases nearby. They actually were going to try and rescue some people from the roof, like using aerial slings. Another thing was that the hotel, like hotels nowadays or any kind of tall building nowadays, they usually have like landing pads, like for helicopters and shit like that on the roof. This didn't have that. So there wasn't really anywhere for the helicopters to land. So they were just trying to like kind of pick people off the roof, like with the slings and stuff like that. And I think a few people did fall to their deaths while they were trying to get them off of the roof, which is, yeah. 38 people that they know of died jumping out the windows.
No, it's better than burning.
Again, yeah. And again, like I said, very famous photograph of a guy like clinging to a mattress, like flying out the window, which is like a really disturbing photograph. Like I said, if you Google this hotel fire, that's one of the first things that comes up, that picture, because it's very famous.
Do they have any video or film of them falling?
There's, I don't know. I saw the still photographs. Yeah. But yeah, it's pretty fucked up. And yeah, like I said, I think at least one person, maybe two, like died when they were trying to, either they fell out of the helicopter while they were trying to get into the sling, like into the helicopter. So like I said, 69 people injured. Now, interestingly, one of the deaths that happened later on was a guy that was the minister of the Taiwanese embassy in Seoul. Now, he lived alone in the hotel, and he was trapped in the building for 10 hours. So he ended up dying in the hospital of like smoke inhalation, like later on. So obviously this was really fucked up, but at least some people were held responsible for this. The authorities did actually arrest 8 people in connection with the disaster, including several hotel officials charged with carelessness and improper construction. And also, they charged 2 former city officials and a fire officer on charges of negligence because they fucked up. And like I said, the construction of the hotel contributed to, not the fire, but, the fire spreading so quickly and the high death toll. Now, the building actually was remodeled after the fire. I think it's still there to this day. Now, on Wikipedia, it says that there was another fire there February 27th of 2010. But I looked for an article and I couldn't find one, at least not in English. So I don't really know if that's true or not, because like on Wikipedia it said that, but then it said citation needed. You know what I mean? So I don't know where that information came from because I couldn't really find it. But like I said, I don't speak Korean. So it could be that it's something else. So the last thing I want to talk about, which somebody already mentioned, and this is just, I'll go into this kind of briefly because everyone kind of knows about this because it wasn't really that long ago. But this was another thing that happened on fucking Christmas. The Indian Ocean earthquake and tsunami from 2004. Yeah. So, yeah. That's what I said out loud. I remember a lot of this. This is like fucking horrifying. Yeah. So, hit a whole bunch of countries in South and Southeast Asia in December of 2004. I believe it was Christmas Day or the day after Christmas, I think it was. December 26, 2004. Almost 8 a.m. local time. An undersea earthquake with a magnitude of 9.1 struck off the island of Sumatra. Now, over the next 7 hours, tsunami, which was triggered by the quake, obviously, just spread across the Indian Ocean, and really, like, they had really high waves, like, all the way to East Africa. What are you doing back there?
Just laughing.
What are you laughing at? What?
Laughing about the tsunami, man.
Why because
it brought up some shit. I'm gonna tell you about Stu. Okay, I will tell you the Stu and the tsunami, but we'll talk about it later.
Well, I mean, I only really just have one more paragraph to talk about. Can you hold off that
long? Stu was
a
dude that I worked with.
Nope, he can't hold off.
Stu was a dude that I worked with. He was
just fat
mechanic. Fucking, he was funny as fuck, and his fucking work partner was this fucking skinny old fucking black dude. Man, I forgot his name, but they were always fucking with each other, and fucking one time his fucking work He said, that Stu came at me with that big old ass of his. It was a Stu-nami. And I said, what? And he says, yeah, he fucking came at me. It was like getting hit with a whole wave of ass. He was just riding it like that. He was saying that Stu was fucking him. It was just, it was just fucking, and it was just busted up laughing. And then from then on out, at Fleet Mechanics, fucking Stu was known as Stu-nami. Stu-nami. The human...
Fleet is also a brand of suppository.
Fleet. Yeah, Fleet. He was known as Stu-nami.
Just,
the human wave of ass. So I just started laughing. This is what goes through my mind. This is why I laugh and do shit in the background. Because I got all these fucking stories.
And I'm trying to, keep some shit together and, talk about it. And I see him back there going...
I was thinking about Stu.
Like that. And I'm just like, what the fuck are you doing back there? It's, very distracting. Because I'm looking at...
It's a very alpha place to work. All these men were fucking with each other and trying to make other men gay. It's just... I don't understand it. It's just... what happens when you get these fucking motherfuckers together. They're always trying to flip a motherfucker around that I'm the man and you're the woman. So it's a constant wrestling match, mental wrestling match, to make another man into a woman. See, we were into that transgender shit long before y'all were. Just that they weren't willing. The people were not willing that were involved.
Well, that's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That's not the same thing at all.
That was our version of it. Okay. That was our version of it.
Okay, Tom, whatever.
How could those motherfuckers be men around me? It's just not gonna happen. It's just not gonna happen.
Man, dude, people.
That's the fucking. All right, I ain't talking anymore. I'm getting in trouble. Jenny's gonna say that. She's looking at me like I'm in trouble. Shutting it down.
You're super, super drunk. You are.
Yeah, I'm all right.
You seem super drunk.
No.
Zach said he was 7 when the earthquake happened. Holy shit.
Zach was 7?
In 2007? In 2004?
Man.
Fuck, man.
Make a motherfucker feel old.
Right.
Zach was fresh out the pussy at that time.
I mean, well, that's what I was like. I was telling you the other day that I was talking to I was talking to Michael from A Starry Night, and he told me one time that he was born in 1990.
Yeah.
And I was like, I graduated from high school in 1990. You fucking babies. What is this all about? Well, I kind of feel like that happens to every generation. Yeah. It's like you always are shocked that you're as old as you are, and you're just like, holy shit, it happens to everybody. It happens to everybody. It's happened to everybody, going back as far as humans have existed.
Man, Mike Barrett's in there. Fucking, he's drunk too.
Yeah,
he's drunk.
He's drunker than you.
He's
seems.
Drunker than me. He's been saying he's been drunk for a past hour. You're gonna be all right, Mike.
But yeah. I mean, you might be hungover in the morning.
Just watch out for the tsunami.
Sure.
Yeah.
But anyway, hard to get back to the seriousness of all these people dying after that story.
Yeah.
But all I wanted to say about that was that this fucking tsunami, man, I remember this. I remember seeing the shit from this. 225,000 people that they know of. That's how many people they estimated this fucking thing killed. Over 12 countries. Indonesia, Sri Lanka, India, Thailand. That's just huge, huge damage. I remember that. But yeah, that's 250,000 fucking people that died in that. It's just, tsunamis, that kind of shit, that's terrifying to me, because that's it's, there's an earthquake, not even expecting it. You're just going about your regular fucking day, and then all of a sudden this big fucking wave goes, holy shit, that was, ugh. I don't like the ocean. You know what I mean? So I don't want the ocean coming at me. That's very, very disturbing.
Hey man, just ask all these damn Maori, all these island boys we got listening. They know all about it. Their whole culture is centered around the fear of the ocean coming to swallow up your island.
Well, yeah.
All right, you're gonna have to.
Well, that's a legit fear. Yeah. I'd be scared of that too.
You're gonna have to put some Easter Island heads out there to watch the ocean to keep it down. Yeah.
That's why they put that shit there.
Yeah.
He's like, you guys keep an eye on. Keep an eye on
that fucking water down. Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
I mean, And I grew up in Daytona Beach, which is right on the coast, like right on the Atlantic Ocean. And, we had hurricanes and stuff like that. And I saw, like, some kind of big waves, but nothing like sometimes you'll see footage of the tsunamis, like, because some people, like, film it, or it'll be on, like, like a building that'll have, like, some security cameras or something like that. And it's just, like, I can't even imagine. It just looks like the fucking end of the world is coming. It's just like a fucking wall of water coming in. There's nothing you can do. Yeah. Nothing at all.
I've seen the videos of it coming in. It's picking up all the cars and moving everything and just flushing everything away.
You just like looking at it going, well,
you can't do anything about it.
Might as well kiss your ass goodbye.
And they're recording it from like the window of a 6-story building. Mm-hmm. And I would be shitting. I'm like, man, is this gonna wash away the foundation of this building? Is this building just gonna fucking fall over? Imagine that.
I know. That's like what I mean. It's like I couldn't even
be like, you better. I'm gonna be up on a roof. I'm gonna have the chopper come get me.
And I mean, the thing about it is that, like I said, I grew up in Florida, so we got hurricanes. But it's like hurricanes, at least that's coming. Like, they warn you. So it's like, well, if it gets real bad, like, we can leave. Like, you have a few days warning. Yeah. You know what I mean? But I kind of feel like earthquakes and tsunamis, you don't get no warning of that shit. Because the earthquake just happens, and then, oh, by the way, like, as if the earthquake wasn't bad enough, oh, I'm going to knock your shit down, and I'm going to, like, also hit you with a fucking wave, and it's just gonna sweep your entire fucking family like out to sea.
I actually think there was some warning for some of them because they know an earthquake happened, and then they give like a tsunami warning in certain areas.
But how much warning is there though?
It's a couple hours.
That's what I mean. It can't be that much.
No, because there might be a big wave coming. Some wild shit, man. That's how it is.
Nature hates us. Well, actually, nature doesn't hate us. Nature is just indifferent to us. We're just like little bugs crawling around.
It's calm now compared to what it used to be.
Well, yeah.
It's way calm. A long time ago, before there was any life, or maybe when life was first being generated on the planet, the moon was so close to the Earth that as the Earth rotated, the tides would go up like several miles. So the Earth was constantly being hit by a huge, mile-tall fucking tidal wave. Crazy to think about. Yeah, there was no dry surface. That went on for a long time. And there was a bunch of tidal forces on the planet that were causing the crust to crack, and there was a bunch of volcanic activity. And it took a long time for the moon to drift out. It moves away, I think, about an inch a year, and away from but still got a plenty ways to go. But it took a long time for it to get further away from the Earth to where the tides weren't so high. That's when shit started to calm down. It has a very complicated, very long history of getting the shit kicked out of the Earth.
Yeah.
That moon was something, I think it was called Thera before that. Before the planet had formed, there was just a ring here. And the ring started to coalesce into two small planets. They were on opposite sides of each other with the sun in the middle. But one of them was moving slightly farther or faster than the other. And over time they caught up and collided, and fucking planet went molten again, blew up and threw up a bunch of debris, and that became the moon. It's some wild shit, man.
Yeah, it's like crazy to think about.
Yeah.
Crazy to think about.
But I think they said that those two fucking small planets that were in this orbit here existed long enough for fucking life to have fucking been formed on them. So there's no telling what was here in the distant past,
Yeah, it was a long fucking time.
Yeah.
All kind of shit could have happened that we don't know about.
It would have been alien planets.
But, again, I reiterate, fuck the ocean. Yeah. Every time that we watch, because we really like that show, I Shouldn't Be Alive. And every time they do a show about, hey, we were on a cruise ship or we were out diving or something like that, and, like, our boat capsized, every time I watch that kind of shit, I'm like, yep, fuck the ocean. Don't go out on the ocean for any reason if you can absolutely avoid it. That's why I'm never going to go on a cruise or nothing like that, because, man, that shit sinks. You're kind of hosed. Not really anywhere you can go. I think I would rather be like trapped in the fucking desert or the jungle than the fucking ocean. What do you think?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know. What was the question again?
Do you see what I have to deal with? Do you see what I have to deal
What was
with?
the question again?
I said, if you had to be stranded somewhere,
Yeah.
ocean, jungle, desert.
Yeah.
Where?
I'd rather be fucking stranded in the jungle.
Yeah, me too.
Because there's food there.
Yeah. Ocean would be my last pick.
Yeah, there's food and water there. The only problem with jungle...
I mean, desert would suck too, but it's like, I'd rather die of thirst in the desert than get eaten by a shark, that's for sure.
I got jungle training. I'm ready for it. There's... The worst thing about any kind of jungle terrain is fucking the bugs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was going to say.
That's the worst. Mosquitoes just eat you up.
Yeah.
All right,
Well, you see that on Naked and Afraid, too.
But, that's better than fucking dying of thirst out in the ocean. Or out in a fucking
Or,
desert.
like I said, getting your leg bit off by a shark. That's not any fun either.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't like I've always been, like, really, really scared of deep water because it's just like there's so much down there and it's like this black and it's like you can't see anything and we don't know what the fuck is down there.
When you're in the ocean, you're actually flying.
Yeah, essentially.
You're basically flying in the atmosphere.
Like over like the mountains and shit.
Over the mountains and it's
Which is a weird way of thinking about it, but
right,
that's what that's what it is.
Right.
Because when the water level is different, like the ocean sea levels are different, like some of that stuff used to be mountains and shit. And now it's like under the fucking water. And now you can like float right over it, which is kind of weird to think about.
The fish see you as flying because they're flying
True.
through the water.
That's true.
They're like, what's this thing doing?
They don't fly so good.
Yeah.
They're flopping around.
Yeah.
One leg bit off by a shark.
Huge fucking animals in there. Huge fucking whales. And
See, I used to have nightmares like that. That I was like in this black thing like that, and then like this big thing would go through like a big eye.
Yeah.
I think I had that nightmare all the time because of that ride they used to have at Disney.
Yeah, that
like the
eye
20,000 Leagues Under the Sea,
Yeah.
like with the giant squid eye going by.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure it was like not scary. I mean, that ride's not there anymore, but like the ride probably wasn't scary to like adults, but when I was a kid, I was like terrified by it. But I wanted to go on it all the time anyway because I love scary shit. But...
be out there fucking flying through the water and get attacked by a bunch of fucking Humboldt squid. Man, they eat you alive.
Yeah, no thank you.
Yeah.
No thank you.
Mm-mm.
Like you said, I'd much rather like die on land, thanks.
There have been reports of dudes fishing at night, and witnesses said he was fishing, and then something fucking grabbed him and pulled him in. And for a while, people didn't believe it, but it's exactly what it was. A Humboldt squid can do that. They can
they're
reach
big.
out.
They're big fuckers.
Yeah, they're pretty big, about 4 or 5 feet long, but they've got some tentacles that can reach out another, I think, 10 feet or so, and they've got hooks and suction cups, and they can fucking grab you on a boat, on a fishing boat, and pull you into the water and fucking eat you. And they're intelligent. They don't live long, but they're intelligent.
Yeah, the weird thing about octopus and squid is that invertebrates, they are like way scarier and more intelligent than they have any need to be, really.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Ben says they don't usually come near the surface, though. Yeah, well, I don't know. I think they do on some occasions. I guess it depends where it is.
Yeah, they do.
I guess
At
if they're
night.
hungry enough, they would.
It's usually at night, according to the programs that I've seen. They're also cannibals. They eat each other. They go into feeding frenzies, where if one of them gets wounded, they all turn on it. They're hungry because they're growing so fast.
Damn, Carl, I thought I was your friend.
Yeah.
Fucking, I'm hungry.
Yeah. They're growing real fast. They do odd shit, but their guys have been grabbed at the surface. Those things. But if I remember correctly, it's always at night.
Shitty way to go.
It's always at night when it's dark.
Well, I mean, I'm not even going out in the ocean in the daytime, let alone at night. Fuck that shit. Tetsuo said, I was out smoking colder than a witch's tit in a brass brazier out there.
Yeah.
We're in Florida. It's right now it is 57 degrees Fahrenheit and cloudy, which is cool for here for this time of year. Jeffy Art says, I'm on a cruise ship right now, actually.
Oh, shit.
Maybe I should watch something else. Just kidding. I've never been on a cruise. My parents have been on, but it never, I like the idea of a cruise vacation because everything is like right there. You know what I mean? And like the place, the ship goes from place to place, so you don't have to travel from place to place. Like I kind of like that idea. if it wasn't on the ocean, it would be a lot better.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. I think that's what I don't like about it.
Yeah, fuck boats.
And yeah, pretty much fuck boats. I mean, I like the idea of it, and I understand why people do it, but I also kind of feel like it's I mean, maybe this is changing nowadays, but I always kind of had the perception when I was growing up that it was like an old people thing.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I don't know. Maybe it's not. Maybe that's different. But when I was a kid, it just seemed like that was something like old people.
What's old? You know, we're
that's
now
what I mean. We're old.
We're old.
So maybe I should be. But you know what I mean. I've said this before. Like when I talk about that's old people shit, I don't necessarily mean like old as an age. I mean old as an attitude. Like, because I've known, like, some 70, 80-year-old people that were, like, cool as shit. They were, like, cooler than some 30-year-olds I knew.
What's funny is that the old people that caused us, that existed, that caused us to come to these fucking conclusions of, you know what I mean, from, you know, they're all dead now. Yeah. So they don't exist anymore. So it's not quite the same situation. You know what I mean? True. But then again, fuck boats.
But then again, fuck boats.
Yeah, fuck boats.
Pretty much, yeah.
Boats are just a little bit better than Zeppelins, which were even fucking worse. You'd never get me on a Zeppelin either.
I don't blame you.
They used to have them damn fucking luxury Zeppelins back like in the 30s that were supposed to be just beautiful, you know. And I think every one of them bitches fucking caught on fire.
That's so
Everybody, they all died. Fuck Zeppelins. You're not going to make a Zeppelin. And basically all the aviation groups said you can't make Zeppelins safe. I
mean, it's a gigantic ball of flammable gas. I just don't know.
Well, they came up with other gases that weren't flammable that could work, you know, like helium. It's not flammable, but it didn't matter. It gets too big and it blows around in the wind, and they can't go very high, so they're always pretty much underneath the weather. I mean, not always, but and they're too vulnerable to weather. They wreck, they crash. You get torn apart. But I think most of them, I think, crashed on landing. Yeah, they get blown into the ground, get caught up in storms. It's just not worth it.
No. I'd rather fucking I'd rather just take longer and take like a horseless carriage or some shit.
People forget how much lifting power those things had, though.
Yeah.
Much better than an airplane. You'd think that those things would be weak. Oh, it's just floating around like a balloon. They had a fucking tremendous lifting capabilities. They make a pretty good military transport if you can protect one, but you can't. You can shoot it down.
Yeah, I mean, they're big. It's not like you can fucking hide them or nothing.
Too big, too slow. You can't armor it.
Jason says, the Jaws movie where the head pops out the hole in the side of the boat scared the shit out of me as a kid. Yeah. I mean, I'm still terrified of sharks to this day, and I don't even go in the ocean anymore. And I was actually, when I was growing up, I had a book that was all about the ocean, and even though it was terrifying and like there were pictures of sharks in there that were like really, really scary, like close-ups of their face and stuff, I kept looking at it all the time, even though it like scared the crap out of me. Jeffy Art said, once you've been to one Caribbean island, you've pretty much been to all of them. The ship is nice with a mixture of ages. I'm with my family, so the drinking package helps a lot.
I gotcha.
How much is that drinking package? Can you like, because I don't know, I've never been on it. I know that they have like, they lay out the buffets all the time, because I know a lot of people go because of that, which I don't blame you. I would go for that shit too. Where they just like lay out a big, you just like sit around and eat. I kind of feel like, or play slot machines or whatever the hell they do. But even on like a lot of the bigger boats, they have like nightclubs and shit too. Like they had a bunch of nightclubs and malls and all kind of stuff.
I'm not sure you could get me out on that thing. I'm not sure you can get me on that thing.
See, like I said, I like the idea of it, but I don't like I don't like being on the ocean.
Bad shit can happen, and I know I'm a little bit of a worry wart, but I'm not sure you could get us out there, even if this was like if it was a porn convention starring Tom and Jenny. I still don't even think we'd be able to.
You know they do a goth cruise, right?
Do they?
Yeah.
Shit.
They have bands on there, because I know like VNV Nation used to play on there, even though they're technically not really a goth band, but a lot of goths like them.
People have gone on those things and then just never been found again. Like somebody threw them overboard. Like what happened to them?
Well, see, I kind of feel like that's. I'm sure that doesn't happen, but you know my little true crime mind all the time. I'm like, ooh, that's like the perfect crime. Like you want to like bump off your wife or something like that. It's like, boop, she just like fell overboard. I don't know where she went. Yeah. And it's like, you know, it's happened.
If you go overboard, you're gonna be bobbing around for several days before you die. You could be dying of thirst, man. Fuck that.
Yeah. Jeff Yarrett said the drink package is about $400 for 15 drinks a day for 10 days.
Oh, shit.
Not bad, actually.
Yeah.
15 drinks a day. Jeez, could I even do that? Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Who am I kidding?
They're probably pretty weak.
I probably could.
Probably pretty weak.
Ben says there are serial killers working on those boats. I don't doubt it. We're like Jeff Yards on the cruise, and we're saying all this fucking shit about all the serial killers and like people pushing each other overboard and shit like that. Well, I mean, that's the first thing I think of when the first thing I think of when I think of a cruise ship is, one, it's gonna sink and I'm gonna get eaten by sharks. Second thing is, all you can eat buffet. Third thing is Perfect Crime. That's where you go if you want to push somebody off and like make it look like an accident.
The all-you-can-eat buffet deal, and you can get that at a casino though.
That's true.
And I don't know if there's
and a casino can't sink.
Casino can't sink.
Technically, I guess it could, because you could have like a sinkhole.
We probably have an Indian reservation around here.
There's one. There's the Seminole Reservation is over by Tampa.
Okay.
And there's a big ass casino over there.
Yeah, that's where you go.
I've never been to it, but I know some people that have been.
Usually,
to it.
there's got nice hotels there, and you can.
Yeah, it's like a whole big thing.
And you don't have to stay a week. You can stay a couple days.
Yeah, what the hell is it called?
Yeah.
It's either in Tampa or Lakeland, or it's between Lakeland and Tampa or something like that. Seminole Reservation. It's like a big casino and everything.
A lot of the casinos have all you can drink. As long as you're gambling, you're going to get free drinks.
Yeah, because they figure the drunker you get, the more you'll be
gamble.
like, oh, whatever. I'm losing all my money. I don't care. Is it true, too, that they don't put clocks in there?
No, probably not.
So you don't know how much time you're spending?
Probably not, yeah.
I kind of thought that was one of their...
I used to go to the ones in Biloxi and Pass Christian, fucking like Harris. Used to go to that one.
Yeah.
Used to go to fucking, I think it was called Pirate Bay. Used to go to that one. That was good. Used to win money there. I'd win money on fucking roulette. Just fucking making roulette bets on fucking black or red. I used to do that. And I used to bet the 2 fucking bets on the outside and leave the 3 open, and you get that fucking 50% return if you won. That was a good one. If you were patient, you could win money on that. Walked out of there fucking $300 up on that one time. And it started with only $40. See, the thing is, once you're up, you go, look, man, I'm way up when I came in here. You got to leave. You stay in there, you're going to lose it all.
Well, yeah, I think people get to, if I put all this on here, then I'll win, a whole bunch more. And it's that's when they get
I was thinking about it. You know what? I'm going to get this over with. I should take all this and just bet that shit on red.
No.
I got a pretty good chance. But I didn't do it. I knew that it would, but the temptation gets you.
Yeah.
You're like, there's almost a 50% chance. It's like a 48 or 49% chance that I'll fucking double my money if I just put that shit on red. And it's quite a fucking temptation. Now, if you start winning big like that, you better fucking hand out a good tip to your fucking dealers. Because they make a lot of money that way, but they are kind of helping you, because they're saying, are you sure you want to do that? Because they'll help you place a bet. Are you sure you want to do that? They'll tell you the fucking odds and everything. If you ask them. You have to know the right questions to ask them. So what are my odds? And they would just go, not good. I wouldn't do it. It's okay. I'm not going to do it. Especially on blackjack.
Yeah.
At least at the casinos I was at. But if you win money, make sure you tip your dealer.
Ben says they pass laws here that all the slot machines have to have the time displayed. Interesting.
Yeah. As far as I know, the slot machines are all rigged. I think they're rigged.
I think,
they're choosing who's going to get jackpots and stuff.
Well, it's I don't even know if it's so much that, but I think it's just kind of obviously everything in there is geared toward making the casino as much money as possible. Yeah. So you're always at a disadvantage.
I don't think they're at random.
Always at a disadvantage.
They don't never even make the claim that they're random. So they can't be random. They're making jackpots hit on people. Gotta be. Yeah. And stopping. That's why I wouldn't play that. Dudes that really fucking gamble and just gamble, don't do anything. They never play against the house. What they do is they go play fucking poker against other bettors. All right, and the house gets a cut of all the winnings. But you're not playing against the house. You're playing against the other players. That's really how you do it.
Because, like I said, if you're playing against the house, you're always at a disadvantage.
But you're going to lose, basically.
Yeah.
Long enough, you bet long enough, you're going to lose. The house is it all statistically rigged. Can you win? Yeah, you can, but not for long.
Yeah.
You have to walk away. You got to know when to hold them. Know when to fold 'em.
Listen to Kenny Rogers,
Yeah,
y'all.
you got to know
He
when
knew
to
what
walk
he was
away.
talking about.
Yeah, he knew exactly, yeah. Although he was talking about poker, but no, fucking in those Mississippi casinos, you had people pulling up in Winnebagos and camping out in the parking lots.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all they would do is they're playing poker.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're not from there. They're from other states. And they'll be in there for a week playing poker. Ain't that something?
Yeah.
Like it's a job.
Well, yeah. I mean, well,
'Cause
it
it is a job
is
for
for
them.
some
Yeah,
people.
yeah.
Like they make enough money to live on
Yep.
doing it.
Yeah, they're living
Like
in,
if you're good enough at it, you can.
they're living in a mobile home out in the parking lot, and they're drinking for free.
And eating for
And they're-
free. A lot of times,
a
those
lot of
casinos
times-
will have like
Well, they get
free
perks.
buffets. Yeah.
Sometimes if you're betting enough at the table, if you're winning, they'll give you fucking perks to a free visit to the buffet, and they got crab legs and everything back in those days. They're probably still like that. So they're eating there, living in that damn casino, living good as long as they're betting. And the dudes that really knew their shit were playing poker, and they would. I knew one of them. And he was fucking at a regular at the restaurant I was working at the time, and he said that the trick is to not sit down at a table that had good players. So if had good, you knew who the good players were. You wanted to fucking sit down at a table where it was just tourists, and you take all their money, basically.
Yeah,
That's what he was
that
doing.
seems a wise decision.
And then they would just hang back and just wait for a weak table to form. And then they'd go over there and they'd fucking take all their money. And then they'd go back and wait again. And they'd just drink and watch the tables. And they'd just try to find a weak So they were fucking hyenas, basically. But that's the game. That's the game.
Well, like I said, if that's how they're making their money,
yeah.
if I was shit hot at poker, that's probably what
Yep.
I'd be doing too, because
Yep.
that sounds kind of fun.
Yep. And then, like, the guys that were in the scene that were the good poker players, they all knew each other. And then sometimes they'd get on there and play as a team against other people and take their money. They would do that too. But mostly they liked to play by themselves against saps, people that didn't really know how to play.
Right. Jason said a woman fell off a cruise ship last week in South Australia. They found her dead body.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's, like I said, it happens. Murder Hornet said Vegas is free drinks, but the waitress won't come around like every hour, so it was useless trying to get drunk.
Mm.
I think my sister's going to Vegas in February. I'll have to like ask her if she's going to go and hang out at the casinos.
On the Mississippi Gulf Coast, drinks came pretty regularly, but they were weak.
That's what they were saying earlier. That's probably why. If they're going to give them to you free, they're not going to give you the good shit. They're not going to
But if you're there for 6 or 7 hours, you're gonna get pretty loaded. But you've been betting for a long time, okay? Which that makes a difference to them. You've been in there risking your money and losing money. That's what they want. You're there to lose money.
Yeah.
And
that's why I never really got into gambling. It's like, well, I never really had any money to spare, like that I could lose because I always needed it for shit. But it's like,
I was okay at roulette because roulette could be considered kind of one of the middle games. It's kind of a loser game, you know what I mean? A lot of the real experienced guys wouldn't do that one because the odds are kind of not good enough. But for somebody that's not a real skilled gambler, it's easy.
yeah,
So, blackjack is a little bit tougher. Although the dealer can tell you what they would do. Where you want to double down, you want to hit, So you can, but the thing is I never like to fucking play using a dealer to help you, and you lose money quickly on that one. And I just didn't really like that one that much. Some people love a crap table, and there's a bunch of different ways to bet on craps. You can bet on that shit a fucking million different ways, and some dudes are real. Those are games of luck. Partial skill, but mostly games of luck and chance. And I'm good with luck and chance. I don't know why. Maybe my psychic abilities fucking make those fucking dice land a certain way. I don't know. I can feel it when it's coming. I could feel it when shit was coming on the roulette table. I'd say, no, I'm not going to bet for a while. And then I'd jump back in and then start winning some money. And go, no, this isn't right, man. I'm winning too much. I got to get out of here. And then I'd jump off the table a little bit until I felt more comfortable. Then I'd jump back in. some people are saying, well, now you're adding another element of chance, though, of when you're in and when you're out. Hey, man, don't question it. It's instinct. You know? Because if you're in all the time, it'll eventually just drain you dry.
Yeah, that's
kind of what it's
designed to do.
Right.
Jeffy Hart said, about to visit my grandma at the blackjack table.
Yeah.
Also, I'm 2 out of 15 drinks in, so I gotta get going. Okay. Yeah, you need to get caught up. You got 13 more drinks before you can
send us some of them winnings in a damn super chat.
Murder Hornet said, yeah, no closing down in Vegas, 24 hours going. Yeah, I just kind of feel like there's people going in the fucking casinos like all the time.
And girls out there fucking trying to turn tricks in the casino.
Pretty much.
Yeah, they're just trying to be slick about it, though.
Well, like I said, everybody got to fucking make a living, man.
Yeah.
I don't begrudge anybody making a living doing what they're
all
doing.
These fucking pretty girls are going to start fucking coming around you. You walk away, they're going to follow you.
I've actually never been to Vegas.
Yeah.
My sister's been several times and my brother has been several times, and they actually really, really like it there. But I don't know. Like, to me, I've never been, so I don't know. Maybe I'm misinterpreting, but it always just seemed kind of like, I don't know, kind of seedy, but not in a fun way.
What's that?
Vegas.
Yeah, fuck Vegas. I like the Mississippi Gulf Coast better because it was smaller and it was fucking newer, and it wasn't as, like I said, didn't have that seedy element to it, or didn't seem to be seedy. You know, it kind of had a little bit of that, but it wasn't that bad. You know, I liked it. You about ready to shut it down, Jim?
I reckon.
All right, let's go ahead.
Yeah, we've been going like 2 hours and 45 minutes. Yeah.
Okay, it's ready.
All right. So we're gonna jump off here and go something.
Go ahead and like the video, people.
Yeah, everybody like.
Yeah, share and subscribe.
Share, subscribe. Well, I'm sure everybody here is subscribed. Well, you better be subscribed. God damn it. But yeah, so hopefully you guys enjoyed the show this evening. Friday night we're gonna be doing our sidetrack show, but so it'll be another Christmas show. Although probably we'll talk about a bunch of random shit like we usually do. That probably doesn't have anything to do with Christmas. But you know, maybe you'll have some eggnog on that show. Maybe we'll get Christmas themed drinks for that show.
Okay.
We should probably do that because we haven't done that in a while, and I feel like it's a holiday, so maybe we should do that. All right. So anyway, so we'll see you guys again Friday night. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for super chats, and we'll see you again on Friday. Good night.